Hello, hello, and welcome in. We are so excited to be back here in our Strophes of Agonia campaign here at the Guildhall AXD. Thank you so much for spending some time with us on your Sunday, and we're excited to get right back into the campaign. When last we checked in with Goro, Ryutaro, Mora, and Aya, they had ventured away from the druids and the elder tree in search of what could be disturbing the inhabitants of the woods. Their investigation brought them to a village of satyrs and halflings who reported an attack on their village the night before by creatures that, as Ryutaro described in his report, as possibly being pretty big birds or small birds with very big feet. Upon further investigation, the party found large deposits of acidic ooze as well as discarded clothing stolen from the previous night's raid. They continued their search, came upon an encampment of gnolls, and after quickly dispatching said gnolls, discovered something of a playbill and a map, a crudely drawn playbill and map, indicating that nearby there must be a warren of kobolds. And sure enough, after falling victim to several of the kobolds' traps, our group of adventurers met said kobolds, an interesting group of thespians who happily put on a play for the party, a play describing the creation of Agonia and the world. It was during this play, however, though, that Mora was attacked by a Banderhob that came up out of the river during the performance, and all chaos ensued. After they were able to defeat the Banderhob and put to sleep the kobolds, they returned to the elder tree and the grove of druids, but they found it in a terrible state, as a dark, terrifying minotaur-like creature rumored to be named Baldor Kesh, as Goro recalled, along with his group of henchmen and underlings, had absolutely massacred the grove. Most all of the party was left in fear, already injured from their last altercation with the kobolds and the Banderhob, and were no match for Baldor Kesh and his minions, and wisely allowed the attackers leave. The party is now left just moments later to recoup themselves and to figure out what possibly could have happened.
In a time now lost to history, the world was ruled by the forces of darkness and chaos. Then the god Dayran, along with his younger siblings, created light. They rose up and ousted the old gods, bringing new life to the world. Despite the new gods' victory, some of the forces of evil managed to escape banishment and continued to plague mankind. Then, 500 years ago, the great warrior king Agon battled the final and strongest demon lord, and from his victory, the glorious kingdom that bears his name, Agonia, sprung forth. Peace flourished as the kingdom became a center of culture, magic, religion, and military might. To guard against the demons and monstrosities that might lurk in the dark shadows and far corners of the world, the Adventurers Guild stands ready. With sword and spell in hand, these brave souls keep the bright light of Dayran and the courage of Agon alive. These are their songs. These are the Strophes of Agonia.
All right. So a couple of technical hiccups there. Thank you for your patience. We are going to dive into today's adventure. So with that now, let's return to our adventurers who are chomping at the bits, figure out what's happening in the grove and the aftermath of Baldor Kesh.
Is Baldor Kesh now gone?
Yes.
Like, we don't see them anymore?
Right. Baldor Kesh and his henchmen took off into the woods just moments ago.
What's the read of the tree, of the elder tree? Is it, from military experience, does it look like total 100% loss? Is there any signs of life? Does it look like it's even that we could even get into the tree?
Most everything on the tree, you look up and you can see the various buildings and whatnot that have been built into the tree and kind of the surrounding. There's some I wouldn't call them farmsteads, but vegetable patches and hutches and whatnot. Most everything is on fire and ablaze. From what you can see, most of the druids that you had met a day or so ago lay seemingly dead, scattered all over. So there are some on the bridges. There are, Gale was tossed, his dead body was tossed at your feet, and you can see dozens of kind of druids massacred surrounding.
Does it look like if we go into the tree that is the walkway even passable?
Yeah, I mean, most of the wood is the woodworking is pretty solid. There are a couple of rope bridges connecting various of these buildings that may be a little bit precarious if they've taken a lot of fire damage, but for the most part, it seems that you could make your way around this area.
All right. I think we should split up. Myself and maybe Aya go into the tree, look for any survivors. Ryutaro and Mora, see if there's anyone still alive on the ground and see what you can do.
We need to find Kona and everybody. I mean, this isn't supposed to happen.
I mean, are you all right? I've never seen anything like this. This is insanity.
I just have a very kind of color has drained from my face, just kind of standing up, kind of looking like 1,000-yard stare, like no, Gora, yes, Gora, we should survivors. And she just kind of walks over. I just kind of walk over towards Goro, like following his lead.
I whip around and not like savage, but just very like right in Aya's eye to eye. Like, I need a healer. You need to pull it together right now. There are people possibly in that tree that need us. Now, come on. And I toss my shield down, keep the spear, wrap my cloak kind of around across body so it's not like trailing off and everything, so it's tight around me. And we want to charge towards the tree and see how we can get up and keeping an ear out, eye out for any possible survivors or cries for help.
I look a little shell-shocked at first, but lock it up and I follow very hot on his tail.
I guess we should look down here, I guess.
Yes. Yes. Let's do that. Absolutely.
First, I immediately, because I believe Gale was thrown from the tree, correct, Guildmaster?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna run over to Gale and kind of fall to my knees next to him and just start kind of like hands on shoulders, like, Gale, what happened? This isn't supposed to happen. You guys were safe. You guys were happy. You said the tree would protect everything.
I will follow along a little bit behind.
Yeah.
Let's
looking at the entire scene, taking it in, just still kind of in shock, trying to figure out what happened here.
Goro and Io, why don't you go ahead and give me a survival check?
Oh, okay. I got a 12.
I got a 5.
A 5, okay. Goro, you charge forward with Aya close behind. And you begin making your way up this labyrinth of rope bridges and ladders, which kind of get to that first level of the buildings where the druids will live up in the tree. And as you do, a kind of a large branch just kind of drops in front of you, and the bridge is just kind of ablaze in fire. But you take your shield and you just push through this blaze, and Aya, that gives you enough cover to kind of continue running behind Goro up this bridge. And at this point, it's mostly kind of a bridge that's carved into the trunk of the tree. Ryutaro, Gale is dead. You're holding this body in your hands and trying to reason with what could have happened, but it is certainly a good question, wondering what could have gone so wrong. They did think, in fact, that they had it under control. Mora, could you roll for me a perception check as you come around?
It's a natural 20.
Natural 20. Okay. The fire is growing fast, and there are fires in all kind of different areas here. And as far as you can tell, there is no sign of life. There's no druid running around. Nobody's kind of crawling on the ground. No groans, no moans. As far as you can tell.
In terms of the fire growing fast, is it gonna just take the entire tree and everything around here, or do we have some time?
You likely have some time, though. It's it's a serious fire, but it's growing, is what you can tell. Sorry, go ahead.
I will kneel down next to Ryu and speak and say, Ryu, I do not believe that anyone here is still breathing. The entire area looks very dangerous. We should move quickly.
There must be some. We have to find them if they are. We can't leave them. What of Kona? What of everybody?
I don't know what happened to her either. Perhaps Aya knows, but they're looking in the tree. We can look quickly out here. We can join them, but we should not dally here.
Then let's go. We have to find them. And he kind of like wipes his eyes. Or I wipe my eyes and stand up and take a deep breath, sniffle, and then just kind of try and start to run off, looking around, trying to find anybody who might be alive down here before we make the trip to meet up with the team.
Okay, so Goro and Aya, you are making your way up the tree. What is it in particular that you're looking for?
I am looking for any sign of life, or bodies, or listening for cries for help.
I'm doing the same, so I'm assisting him in that.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and both give me a perception check. You're moving a little too fast to do any kind of investigation. So we'll go off of sight and sound.
14.
18 for me.
All right. Goro, you come barreling up to the Great Hall, and you can see that it's been ransacked. The table is overturned, the chairs have been broken, and there are easily half a dozen druids dead on the ground. Aya, as you run past the rooms that just this morning, in fact, or perhaps the morning before, you had stayed in. You run past one, and it is ablaze. There is kind of fire on the bed where you had been sleeping. There are several younger druids dead on the ground in there as well. All of them seem to be in positions of escape, right? They are on their stomach trying to get towards the window, or kind of stacked up in a corner as if they had been huddled in the corner, as you make your way through. It's utter devastation.
But I still don't see any signs of life.
No signs of life.
Oh, okay.
What's the read of the tree right now in terms of? I want to be aware of how much the fire is consuming, and possibly kind of keep searching until there's that point of no, it's time to go. We have to leave, otherwise, we'll be stuck here too.
The tree itself is so massive that it would take quite a while for fire to destroy the entire thing. But there is something of a question of, how long will the bridges and rope bridges and that kind of thing last? That's
what I mean.
Yeah. Again, you'd probably be able to find a way down, but those options are quickly, if nothing is done to put out the fire, those options are coming to a close.
I will finish up whatever search there that I might be doing in kind of the Great Hall or any of the surrounding rooms, calling out for anyone that might need help or that might still be alive. But if there's no answer, I will go back to kind of the main kind of entry foyer area of the tree and kind of call out for Aya. Aya, return!
And I come running.
Did you find anyone?
No. Everyone I've seen is gone.
Same.
They're all gone.
Right. Our time here is running short. Let's get back down to the ground and the others.
All right.
Make quick.
And she follows, and I'll follow along behind, saying, "Hopefully, maybe they've had better luck and have found someone, anybody." And she goes running with him. I go running with him.
We'll go charging through the tree and down and out, back down to the ground.
Let me get an investigation check from Mora and Ryuthro, as I think you mentioned you are down and looking for other survivors. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah. Can I, prior to doing the investigation,
Sure.
because I do want to be running around, and I don't know if this is help, but in desperation, I cast Speak with Animals, and I just yell at the top of my lungs, just, any creatures of the grove, forest, the druids need your help now. I know you run in fear of what transpired, but we need you. Help us find the living. Please, they've helped protect you. Now protect them. Please. And then, just in a desperate call to even just help find them. I don't even know if any creatures are nearby, because I know we saw them running away, but just something.
Sure. Go ahead and roll me a persuasion check.
That is a 16.
A 16. Okay. You call out to the animals of the forest, and you hear a cacophony of chaos, right? Animals throughout the forest are shouting back and forth to one another. Fire! Fire! Escape! Run! Go! Get out of the warren! Out of the warren! And so your voice is somewhat lost in a sea of animals speaking back and forth to one another. At one point, a small herd of deer kind of come jumping out of the forest as if listening to what you have to say. But the sight of the fire, their heads begin to kind of dart back and forth, and they take off into the woods, and you continue to hear kind of the chaos of these forest animals trying to flee the spreading fire.
Mm-hmm.
terms of the investigation, I know Ryu will be looking towards all the bodies, but I've already decided that they are. There's nothing here to be found. So I'm going to be focusing my efforts more towards seeing if there's anything magic. I mean, there was this giant blue gash. There could have been some sort of remaining symbols, or who knows. I looking at, because it was so odd. I really want to try and determine if I can see anything of that sort.
Sure. All right, wonderful. So why don't you both of you give me the investigation check?
Oof. That is a
12.
4. Natural 1 for Sad.
Oh no!
And Mora?
That was a 12.
A 12. Okay. So we will start with Mora. You begin looking around, and specifically you're looking for residual magic. And what you notice is there does seem to be something of a lingering kind of purplish smoke where a scar has been left on the tree, something like a surgical scar. And it's then that you remember what Gale had described as something being the purpose of this druidic circle, of this grove of druids, which was not just to protect the elder tree, but perhaps more specifically protect the heart of the forest, which lived within the elder tree. As this realization kind of hits you, you begin to look around, and even beyond the quickly burning foliage of the forest, you notice that there seems to be a wilt to the area, as if everything is just a little bit grayer, a little bit darker was before.
Do I think, just looking at the tree and the surroundings, is there time for me to get in and get to the library I was previously in the other night when we studied?
Yeah, go ahead and give me an insight check. We'll do that as to, yeah.
18.
You think that if you ran, you could make a go for it, but you'd really have to haul to get it. It wasn't at one of the top flights. It's fairly low, so you feel like if you hauled to the library, you might find it.
Ryu, I'll be back! And I just take off running for it.
Oh no!
You are left. You stand and over Gale's body, and you're just kind of wandering the base of the tree, somewhat shell-shocked by all of the death and carnage.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I'm trying to find any sign of life. I mean, I don't want to accept that everybody's dead, and specifically looking for Kona. But I don't even know what to do. I think I'm just lost, kind of waiting to find something that I don't want to find. Just continue to wander.
Gora and Aya, let's try that one again. Goro and Aya. Why don't you go ahead and give me another survival check?
Okay.
19.
21.
Okay. The fire is continuing to spread. Many of the rooms now are alit and ablaze. But the two of you are running as fast as you can, kind of back down and around the tree. And you kind of, Goro, you just kind of push aside a fallen, tapestry that's fallen, giving Aya an opportunity to run forward. And the two of you working together are able to make your way through this winding set of hallways and bridges kind of back down towards the base, and you quickly see Mora approaching, and just beyond her, you see Ryutaro, who seems to be kind of standing and slowly walking, muttering to himself out in the open of the...
As I see Mora running towards us, and I don't not so much stopping, but kind of calling out to Mora, where are you going?
The forest is dying. I must get the information from the library before it burns.
It's ablaze up there.
I'll be quick then.
I turned to Aya, said, join Ryu, see what you can do about putting out the fires on the ground. I'm going with you. And I turn to Mora, and I shift gears, and I'm going to run with Mora to make sure that everyone is safe when we get out of this alive.
All right, and I go.
I grab Aya. I grab it just before you get him in the game. Put out those fires.
On it, and I take off and I scream back at them to be careful, and then run down to Ryu. Ryu, and I just run right up to Ryu. I grab his the front of his collar, and I just kind of shake him a little bit, like, Ryu.
Aya, what?
We need to do everything we can to put out the fires. Just help me with this. We need to figure out a way to put out all of this fire. Come on.
Oh,
and
okay. What do I need to do?
Put out the fires. That's what we have to do. That's what we need to do. Do it. As I'm literally looking at my spells, trying to figure out. Was there a natural spring or something like that was in this area when we first came through? Like a river or a brook or something like that?
Sure, not too far away from the grove, just into the forest a little bit, there is a little brook.
Okay. So on the ground, how bad are these fires? Is it just like a few little patches, or is everything very quickly just being swallowed up?
So there are several thatches that the druid, thatched huts that the druids would use for various purposes, farming, keeping tools, all that stuff. So it's like mostly mud huts with thatch roofs. Almost all of them are on fire in various states, and the bigger concern is likely the spread of these to the forest.
Got it. Okay. So it's mainly the thatch that's catching ablaze, and not necessarily like the ground underneath it, because the grass is still green. Okay. I think maybe trying to essentially break it down and try to smother it. I don't know.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and give me a survival check, and Ryutaro, why don't you give me a perception check, and then we're gonna hold on to those, and we'll be right back to you.
Okay. When we do come back, I have something.
Okay.
Jeez.
Hold on to that. Keep that in the noggin, okay? We'll be right back. Goro and Mora, you are running with Mora in the lead, as she likely is the one who knows where this library is. Why don't the two of you both go ahead and give me a survival check?
The worst thing for me.
Oh no. 5.
3.
Guys, no.
Okay.
No.
The fire here is getting thicker and thicker, and more of the area is beginning to collapse. You come around the bend, and you can see where the library is on the other side of a rope bridge. And without pausing, the two of you run across the rope bridge. Go ahead and give me a dexterity saving throw, both of you.
Another fine roll. 7.
You said dexterity.
Yeah, dexterity saving throw.
5.
5. Okay. So you are running across the bridge when again another large branch, you hear the crack, and Mora, you are able to look up just in time to see a branch hurtling down and crashing onto the rope bridge behind you. The two of you are able to hold on to the bridge as it smashes, and the bridge cuts in the middle, and you swing across, hitting the far side of the tree. The two of you are holding desperately onto the bridge, and both of you take 3 points of fire damage as the embers and the flames of this branch come ripping down across your backs.
How far are we from reaching the top of the bridge? Like, where are we in the middle of that span?
You have just about 10 feet to climb up to get to the other side.
All right, holding on to with one hand, I will assist Mora up to get her up and to safety.
Okay,
Oh my God.
Mora, go ahead and give me a strength check. With advantage, because Goro is helping you.
Well, not that it helped too much. From my natural perception at 20, best one on my advantage here is a 6.
A 6 for the strength?
Yep.
Got it. Okay, so it's only about 10 feet, but it's very slow going. It's a very kind of hazardous climb, and all you have to go on is this single rope. And as you kind of pull up, you realize that they were using very nice kind of like silken rope, but in this instance, it just means that your hands are your hands just kind of slip and slide. So as much as you're trying to pull up, it's difficult to get a good grip. But after a while, you are able to kind of get up over that lip and pull yourself up. Goro, why don't you go ahead and give me a strength check as well?
Strength check, not strength saving throw.
Yeah, we'll do a strength check.
Natural 1.
Okay.
That's the
You
rough time of it here.
help you help Mora climb up the bank, and just as you kind of push her up and over and you see her collect herself, the weight of this Leonin holding on to a broken bridge is too much, and the rope snaps and you begin to fall. And we'll go back to Aya and Ryutaro. So Aya and Ryutaro, we had you guys do a couple of checks for us. Aya, you were doing a survival check. Ryutaro, you were doing a perception check, and there was something you wanted to do, Ryutaro, so let's cut back to that.
Well, for the perception, I rolled my third natural one of the session.
Okay.
Oh my God.
And so what I was going to do is, noticing the flame spreading and patch and everything, is I want to try and find kind of the path that it's next going to. So if it's on right here, it's going to be approaching the wall. I want to use my spell Fog Cloud so I can wet the area, similar to how, as Ryu knows, U.S. firefighting tactics for forest fires. Trying to kind of wet the area around it and make the air have too much moisture in it for the fire to propagate.
Mhm.
So that was my plan to help stop it.
That's actually really cool. That's really smart.
Part of Ranger School is in-depth fire control, taught by this guy, Smokey Bear.
Yeah.
Okay, so you cast Fog Cloud over several of the hutches, and it certainly helps dampen that area. and you see as it keeps at the very least, it keeps the flames from jumping up and over to the line of the forest, kind of there. But you are still casting these things and doing these things in a daze. Your ears are ringing. You are only hearing Aya in the distance as she's shouting instructions to you, and she's not particularly far away from you. And you just kind of reach up your hands and manifest this fog cloud, but it's entirely without thinking at this point. And Aya, you were rolling for survival. So what is it? You had mentioned smothering, but also the brook. So what is it you're trying to do with your survival check?
Right. So with my survival check, I got a 17. I was thinking that if I were able to use essentially my spiritual weapon to knock down or seriously inhibit, or hopefully knock down some of these huts with some good blows, since they're already kind of burning already, because I know that like in some areas of like more compact cities, in order to keep flames hopping from one building to the next or hopping from one area to another, you would usually knock down a building or any connective burnable material between one place and another. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and give me an attack roll? So roll a d20 for me.
Okay, 16.
16. So that hits. Your spiritual weapon, this rose mace, manifests itself near one of the thatched huts, and you take a big swing at it, and you're already kind of able to see where the mud is cracking and some wood structure underneath, and you take a big swing at it, connecting. Go ahead and roll for damage.
Hey. So, this has like, it looks like some type of, what was the damage here? Okay, spiritual weapon damage. It's just 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are fairly flimsy. They're fairly flimsy touches, though. So as you take that crack between the damage of the damage that the fire has already created, along with you kind of whacking into it, you're certainly able to take a big chunk of that hut down. And as the thatch kind of falls into it, it's still ablaze, but it feels a little bit more concealed to that area.
Okay, so it's much less likely to hop to like the closest like long grass going into the woods.
Yeah, it's certainly not going to get larger and then like flicker up to the woods. There is still grass all around you, so it could still spread horizontally. It's just not quite as much ablaze as it was before.
Okay, I think I'm going to turn to Ryu and just kind of, not super forcefully grab his shoulders, but kind of, she's just like, here, I need you to take that fog and I need you to focus it on the flames down here. See if you can snuff them out. Okay?
You got it.
Okay.
So
and while he's doing that, she's going to go to the next one. And they can kind of make like a chain reaction. Like she knocks it down so it's easier to snuff out. Maybe he can hopefully come through and snuff it out with the fog.
Got it. So you're smashing, he's dashing, he's losing the fog. Got it. Okay, Mora, you collect yourself up on this ledge and turn to look at Goro, and you see him falling. You hear the snap of the rope, and you see him falling down this massive tree. Goro, you hit where the bridge ends, and it kind of kicks you out, and you're kind of hitting several branches before crashing through the leafy roof of a building below, and you take 8 points of falling damage as you crash through the ceiling and into the room below.
Am I still in the tree, or have I fallen fully out of the tree and into a building on the ground?
You are still in the tree. It's one of the kind of rooms that's built into the tree, and you fall into it, and you look around, and the room is very much on fire.
Okay.
What would you? We'll keep going with you for a bit.
I will immediately get out of the burning room, and look up to where. Assuming this room is fairly small, or is it?
Yeah.
What's the size of this room?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'll hook her by crook out the door, a window, bust through a wall, whatever. Get out of the room, and then I want to look up from where I came. And can I still see Mora?
Okay, go ahead and give me a perception check.
So I would have probably gestured to as he fell and then stepped back to look down and see what happened to him. So hopefully I'd be standing right there.
Yeah, why don't you give me a
7.
perception check as well?
17 perception.
Okay.
And a 19 for me.
All right, so Mora, you look as Goro disappears into the room, and as he crashes through, flame rips up into the hole, and for a moment you're left holding your breath, unsure of what could have happened to Goro as he crashes into this room that is very much on fire. And just a moment later, he comes crashing through a wooden slat door leading to the outside. Now he's about 2 stories below you, but he comes crashing out and he looks up, and the both of you make eye contact, and through the thickness of smoke are just kind of able to see each other, though there is a glassy blur as the smoke is wafting up into the tree.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Go to the library.
I don't waste a moment. I just quick nod and turn and run for it.
Do I know where the library is now? We were almost there, right?
Yeah, she's basically going to turn around and be in the library.
I want to, whatever way I can, try to continue at least up to where she is to join her, if I can.
Okay, go ahead and give me a survival check.
16.
Okay, you
Nice.
unclasp your cape,
Yeah.
and you draw forth your spear, and with a mighty roar you just drive that spear into the base of the tree itself, and with another enormous leonin claw you begin climbing the trunk of the tree, just grabbing each twist and bend and pulling your massive form as more branches of fire continue to fall upon you, and you are able to slowly claw your way up the two stories to where Mora is.
Awesome.
Mora, you see that Goro is climbing, and you turn and enter into the library. What is it that you're looking for? And know that there is quite a bit of the library on fire.
Right. Well, I did spend a good chunk of the other evening here, and I was investigating at that point for history and things of the region. And I've had a few moments as I've been running to think, and specifically, I know that Gale told me that the heart of the forest lived within the elder tree. I'm going to be looking for anything, and I realize I have virtually no time, so the discretion will have to be what it is. But I want to, if I had found a notion about it before, something I touched specifically, anything to do with the magic of the tree, anything to do with the rituals or what the druids did here that might inform me further about what just happened. Is it still around? Did that crazy minotaur thing steal it? What magical thing might have happened? Is there a way we can save it? All that sort of stuff. Anything that would just if there was anything that glanced against that in my researching, I would be going for that book or those books just to grab them and run.
Okay, give me an insight check, and the check will be for where you feel like you might have left those books, right? Or where you might have, right? The best you can do in this situation is just do a gut check, run to the bookshelves, and quickly scan the titles or whatever scrolls you think they might be in. So roll for insight to see how well you're able to recall where the books might be.
8.
Okay, so with an 8, you run up to the bookshelves and you're quickly scanning from side to side. You pull apart a couple of different scrolls to really no avail, and you're just kind of tossing them back. The best that you find is one kind of thick, it's like wood bark tied together with string, but you're able to recognize Gale's name on the book, and at just a very quick glance, it seems to be a writing, at least on the modern history, for lack of a better term, of the tree, of the grove. It doesn't seem to be a journal. It seems to be more than that. It seems to be, as the lead druid, his kind of official record keepings of the book, of the tree.
It'll have to do. I will take that and take my leave, heading back for Goro, or presuming he's coming up at this point.
Yes. Let's cut back to Ryu and Aya on the ground before. Could both of you give me a perception check, please?
Yeah.
Gladly. Finally. All right, I got a 19.
I got a 17. Finally a good roll for you after 3 natural 1. It's okay. Hey, we're going for it. It's going to be okay.
Exactly.
The two of you come to a hutch that is set a little bit further away than the others. You remember this as being an area where they would dry various herbs and vegetables. And Aya, you are about to, well, you do in fact take a big whack at the hutch. Go ahead and give me an attack roll.
Okay. It's a 12.
A 12. Okay, a 12 will hit. Roll for damage.
6.
Okay, so you, just like before, come in and you smash the wall, and it comes kind of crashing down, and the both of you notice pretty much immediately. You have your back kind of turned to Aya, and you're moving with your concentration. You're moving this fog cloud slowly across, and as you do, the both of you are able to see the crumpled body of Kona kind of laid out over what appears to be kind of a pile of dried herbs, and a barrel then kind of sprung over a barrel.
I immediately run over to her and check her to see if there's any signs of life whatsoever.
My concentration on the fog immediately drops as I just run over and dive down, like sliding on the knees, trying to grab Kona.
Yeah.
So the both of you run over and take Kona up into your arms, and this beautiful, loving druid who had been so kind to the both of you in your short time at the grove is lifeless and limp in your arms.
My head just like drops, and just like I just start sobbing, just like, no, why, of anybody, why you too? And I just like huff and just like kind of bend back and just yell, just scream pain and rage and sadness just into the sky, and then just kind of crumple back.
Oh, cleric, have I ever encountered a situation where somebody appears to be lifeless, but then I've been able to resuscitate them or bring them back?
Yes, but this is not one of those moments. She's not, unconscious or on the verge of dying. She is dead.
So she has already passed on. There's nothing I can do. Okay. So like I kind of as I'm doing this, I also kind of want to look back at the flames. Have we been able to kind of more or less contain it so it doesn't spread?
I would say you've been able to more or less contain it. I don't know if you've done enough to stop spread.
Okay. God, I'm trying to think of a way to get water over here.
Okay, go ahead and give me an insight check.
Yeah, I have no idea. Not a great roll. A 12.
A 12? No, it's enough. You've been in the area for long enough, and as you come in, you see that there are several kind of hand pails, right? There are kind of those smaller barrels with the little hook on it. The name's escaping me right now. And the brook is nearby. I mean, there is also the option to run over, get pails of water. Pails of water, and put it out the good old non-magical fashion way.
Yep. Well, that's what she's gonna do. But I'm gonna turn to Ryu and I tell him just like, we need to put out this fire before it goes into the forest and kills even more creatures and even more people. You need to help me with this.
I'll do it now. We'll save what we can, but we can't leave her here.
We're not going to leave her here, okay? Just
okay.
She kind of like very quickly as she's pulling him with her over to the pail, she's like, we will have time to grieve, but right now we need to focus on doing this so more people don't die, okay?
I just grit my teeth and nod.
Okay, come on. Anything. And Pix goes and they start. I probably direct it's like I go down to fill up a pail, hand it off to him so he can throw it onto the flames, and then it's like a trade back and forth.
Right. Let's do this. So why don't the two of you go ahead and give me survival checks?
Okay.
And Ryutaro, I'm also going to ask you to make me one more perception check.
I got a 21 for survival.
So I got a 16 for survival.
Nice.
And a 15 for perception.
Okay. The two of you are, Aya is running to the river with the two pails, scoops up the water in either hand, runs back, hands one to Ryutaro, and begins throwing water onto the various thatch hutches. And then the two of you are running back. And you do this several times before you kind of notice, Ryutaro, that Koji is not with you. And you pause and begin kind of listening and looking out for where he could be. And you see that his hindquarters are sticking up from behind the barrel in that hutch where Kona is. So there's Kona's body, and not far behind it there is Koji with his tail kind of up in the air as if he's trying to get behind the barrel for some reason.
I'm gonna throw the bucket of water, and if I'm close to the flame I'll throw it on one, but if not I'm dropping it and running to Koji because I need to make sure he's okay, figure out what's happening. So I run over to him and see what's going on.
Awesome. Goro and Mora, you connect. Mora, you have this large book kind of cradled in your arms. You come back up onto the ledge just as this massive muscular Leonin is pulling his body weight full of plate armor up onto the ledge with a huff. What would the two of you like to do now?
Are you ready? Let's go.
Yes. And Mora will turn and look back into the library for a moment, just over everything happening there. And when she turns back, there's tears streaming down her face. There was a lot of smoke in there. Let's go. You're right.
I'll take a few books from her just to lighten the load and make it easier to move, and then let's charge out of there.
Okay, wonderful. The two of you head out. Kind of there was the bridge, and then there is a built into the tree, carved into the tree, is a descending staircase that kind of goes down in the opposite direction away from which you came, putting you out on kind of the back side of the tree. But you're able to make it down and away and back onto the main level of the tree. And as you come around the back side of it, you see what is unfolding. You see Aya kind of running with these pails of water, and the two of them pouring them onto the thatch roofed hutches before Ryutaro seems to abandon what he's doing and run into one of the hutches.
Taking a cue from Aya, I will follow and grab whatever pails or buckets that I see and immediately begin helping that effort as well. I'll also kind of toss the books that I've been carrying from Mora to a place that maybe is safer from the fire of the tree and begin assisting with the water brigade.
So I'll try and join in as well, doing the same.
Okay. Then let's cut back to Ryu. You come up to a chirping, agitated Koji who seems to be digging against the barrel, which is quite a good bit larger than he is, and he's kind of scratching at this barrel as you come up to him.
I just run and immediately realize trying to get behind it and trust in Koji's instinct and just push the barrel that try and shove it out of the way.
Sure, for someone of your size, it's really no problem. And you roll this barrel away, and you're able to see kind of why Kona was strewn out over it. As soon as it's moved away, you hear the whimpering of several voices, and you look into this kind of dug out area, which must have been used for kind of refrigeration, something of an icebox. And huddled at the back of it are several of the children, the same children that awoke you and Aya from your rest just the other day. And terrified, tears streaming down their face, the five of them are huddled into the corner, too shell-shocked and scared to really process that they know you in that moment.
Come on, get up. We have to go. It's not safe here. I know you're scared, but we have to go now. And I kind of jump down and try and grab a few of them and help them up out of the hole and do anything I can to get them moving, because I'm sure they're probably frozen. It
takes a moment for them to comprehend. Their eyes are almost as wide as their heads, and it takes the first one, who you remember his name is Bryn, and he just kind of tentatively reaches out a small hand to you. But as soon as he grabs it, as soon as the connection is made between the two of you, you feel just the slightest bit of strength return to his hand as he pulls himself up and begins calling to the others, Ani, Hill, Kale, and Rin, to come out of their hiding. And they, all whimpering and very sad, but make their way up out and try to run into the clearing.
As they're running up and the last of them get out, I jump out and I'm going to leave the hutch and I'm going to pick up Kona And I'm just gonna turn to Aya and everybody if I see Goro and Mora coming. I'm just gonna yell, I must save them! I'll be nearby! And I just run off, following the children, carrying Kona with me, and I call to Koji as well, have him follow. Trying to bring them to somewhere safe.
It's not long before you're able to make it to the kind of the other side of the clearing in an area of the grove that isn't as aflame, and you're able to kind of find some tucked away area where you can all kind of cuddle around, and you just kind of take that cape of yours and wrap it around the 5 children who all kind of huddle up there.
Yeah. And I'm going to lay Kona down very gently and just look to the children and say, stay here and watch over her. You're safe, and I'll be right back. And I'm going to actually, real quick, is Bryn, because I know that he had that strong and he helped them. Is he seem to be the oldest of them, or just kind of the?
Yeah, he might be. I mean, most of the kids are about 4 or 5 years old, and Bryn is probably a little bit closer to 7 or 8.
Okay, I'm going to take one of my 2 short swords and kind of put it like pointed down. It's like, you must protect them. You're safe, but just it's up to you. Okay, Bryn? You're strong. You can do this.
And he just kind of gives you a confident nod as his hand, very much shaking, takes it from you. But he tries to muster as much courage.
Say, just don't leave. And then I just run, and I start to move and run back to the others to help again.
The 4 of you now are trying to put out the fire. Why don't you all go ahead and give me a survival check?
Survival. Okay.
A 12 for me.
19.
11.
2.
A 22 more or
No,
a 2?
a 2.
Okay. So, Aya
Can this be a group
and,
check then, maybe?
Aya and Goro both have pails and are just kind of running to the river and just with massive sweeps of their arms pulling up pail after pail of water and rushing to it and dousing the thatch hutches with water and keeping it from spreading to the outer forest. Mora, with kind of 2 hands and a heavy step to her leg, is just a bit slower and having a hard time with the strength of pulling a full pail of water to the hatches. And this is really the first time any of you have seen Mora struggle with anything. But Ryu, coming running back up to the party, is able to help her, and kind of the 2 of them take this pail and douse it. It's not long, though. You do that several of these. It's not long, though, before you begin to hear plink, plink. And Goro, you kind of brush this aside at first, but then it's plink, 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 as you notice rain begins to pelt the back of your heads. And just as Mora kind of tosses a bucket of water onto the thatch, there's this massive crack and roar of thunder and lightning, and the skies begin to open up as a torrential thunderstorm breaks over the 4 of you.
I drop the pail and kind of just, we've been going full tilt for, however long, and just fall to my knees and just let the rain just drench me and maybe even mask a bit of a tear from exhaustion.
Yep.
Terrible day for rain.
We'll grab and shelter the books. Make sure that they're as dry as they can be given all this.
I'll probably now that rain is coming and helping to basically douse the rest of the flames, I'm gonna go over to where the kids are and see if there's like an outcropping of a rock or something that I can gather them under, so they're, at least attempting to stay dry in some way. Definitely taking off like my blue cloak and kind of also putting that, like laying that down on the ground so they have like a dry place to sit on, and while they're covered in Ryu's cloak, just kind of keeping, and she like kind of settles down with the kids and kind of like wrap her arms around them, just like an attempt to comfort them.
Guildmaster as well. Can I see if this rain, because this rain came at a very opportune time, can I see if this scene looks like natural and just highly, just like almost a miracle, or does it seem to be some sort of magical rain or spiritual thing?
Ooh. I didn't think of that.
What type of check do you want to do for that?
Do you think
Would
nature
that be an
would fit?
arcana check?
Nature would probably be where I would
Yeah.
start with you as a ranger.
Yeah, because I wouldn't be able to tell, like, is it magical? It's just, this rain came out of nowhere at the perfect time and all that. So I got a 12.
12. It is not magical. While you probably have not spent a lot of time in the north, you would know enough to know that this time of year it is not uncommon at all for massive thunder and lightning rainstorms to hit, and they hit for days on end. So that was fortunate to keep the fire from spreading, but not uncommon.
Okay.
Is
With that,
there
I'll
any
go back.
shelter that we can utilize at this point?
Let's go ahead and why don't you give me a perception check?
Well, there's another nat 20.
Okay.
Woo!
I'm hot and
Nice.
cold today.
I rolled the ones, you rolled the 20s.
Wow.
Unless it's in battle, and then all you guys roll as 20s. So the rest of you are kind of doing your thing. Goro is taking a moment to himself. Aya is setting up the kids. Ryu is kind of in the space with Kona, and Mora, you kind of step away for a moment. The book kind of clutched to your chest, and as you're kind of looking around and surveying the scene in front of you, and this is not a soft rainstorm, this is crashing thunder and lightning, heavy rain. You notice kind of set far back, kind of almost away from the grove even, is one small hutch that seems to have been far enough away to escape the devastation.
Oh, you found some children. Bring them with us.
All right. I gather up the kids and just kind of usher them all towards that one hut.
I scoop up Kona and do the same. Make sure Koji's with me as well this time.
I will not join them at the hut, but begin finding whatever bodies may be on the ground and gathering them and laying them at the base of the tree for some kind of burial and recognition.
I'll say I'll stay with the kids for a minute to make sure they're all sorted, but when I see Goro doing that, I'll I'll take one of the roses out of my hair and give it to Ryu for Kona, for the little girl. Names. And then I'll go out with Goro and help him, because, more hands, to help with what he's doing.
Okay, so Ryu and Mora, you make your way into the hutch, make sure that the kids are settled. Is there anything that the two of you would like to do while you're here in the hut?
With them, I go up to Bryn and I kneel down in front of him and putting on my brave face, I just like smile at him and kind of like put a hand on his shoulder and say, you did great, Bryn. You are strong and everything is going to be okay. We're going to get out of here and be safe.
He looks up at you and just teeth clenched, and his eyes are welling up with tears as he looks at you, and you can tell that it's taking every ounce of this little boy's strength to keep up the appearance that he's okay. Clearly, for the betterment of the other children. Clearly for trying to put on a brave face of his own in front of the other kids who are all pretty much openly sobbing.
Mm-hmm.
Mora?
Kind of. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I'll look at that and then I'll step close and say, "You're very brave, Bryn. All of you. You're very brave. We're here. We'll take care of you."
Bryn breaks and just kind of wraps his little arms around Ryu and kind of buries his face into Ryu's shirt. And as soon as that happens, the other kids kind of charge Mora and all embrace her in a hug and start just wailing the way little children do. Controllable sobbing.
I look mildly horrified for a second and then start patting them a little awkwardly. Try to hug them back.
Oh.
I kind of like put as his head is kind of buried in my chest, I put a hand on his head, kind of run my fingers through his hair and just like, you did well and we'll be okay. And I kind of grab his shoulders and hold him at arm's length and say, we're still in it now, but we will get out and you'll all be safe. We'll make it through this. Just be brave for a bit longer, okay, Bryn? And with that, I just like kind of give him a little squeeze on the shoulder, stand up, and turn away without a word and kind of walk out of the hutch and seeming like I need to go help someone, but really it's just I am trying to keep it together the same way Bryn is. And seeing that just is very difficult. So I leave and like fighting back tears to hold my composure and walk out of the hutch.
Goro and Aya, you might catch Ryu kind of stepping out of the hutch and taking a moment for himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not difficult to find the bodies of the druids that are at least on the ground. The rain is slowly helping to fight the fire within the tree itself, though much of it has quickly reduced what's been on the ground to embers. But yeah, the druids are kind of spread out, and there are probably a good 30 or so of them on the ground.
So I imagine it will take quite a time to gather them and carry them, but I would like to try to lay them down at the base of the tree and with enough time do not like a full grave, but a layer of dirt over them. And if we can have the time to do that, and with Aya's help, I won't talk much, but when done, while assessing them or kind of just looking quietly over them, let Aya know that you showed great courage and leadership today. It was not easy, but I saw it.
Thank you.
And then go on.
I just, like, I help him, put these shallow graves, essentially helps him do all of those things. And once they have it all kind of in a way, I kind of like kneel down in the mud and like will do kind of almost like a little mini funeral rite. It's like muttering underneath my breath so you don't hear everything, basically. But I'll take the other, like one of the other roses that's kind of cresting the back of my hair, and at the center of all of this, she just kind of like sticks it in the ground and mutters like a final blessing, essentially, and just kind of backs up and like bows her head down a little bit in reverence.
During all of this, the rain does not abate. It takes several hours to organize the bodies, do the digging. In a sense, it's a little bit easier in that this amount of rain has turned much of the area at the base of the tree into mud. So it makes digging kind of just a shallow enough of a grave a bit easier. But that being said, it probably takes at least 3 hours of work between the two of you. As that time comes to a close, Goro, you look up into the sky and it is rain clouds as far as the eye can see. There doesn't seem to be any sign that this storm will be passing by anytime soon.
How far was the Satyr camp from the grove?
Satyr camp is about a half day's walk north.
Right. Sitting with or gathering Mora, Ryu, and I think we should head to the Satyr camp. Take the children there. It is what time of day is it right now? How many hours left in the day?
Not much. It was already kind of late afternoon.
I think we either make camp tonight or head out now and march through the night to get to the Satyrs and find safety and rest there.
We should go there. These kids should not be kept near here. We must
I
get
agree.
them somewhere safe.
Moving now is better for everyone.
Right. Ryu, lead the way. I will follow in the rear. I and Mora watch over the kids in the middle and let us head off.
Just nod and go off and gather the kids and say, we're going now. Gather up and chin up.
Yeah, I will stay close to the kids as well. In the few hours that you were busy doing that, I was warming the space, casting light on a stone, summoning an unseen servant to play a flute that would dance around in the air.
Aww.
Wonderful. Okay, so the party begins to make their way north. But Ryu, why don't you go ahead and give me a survival check? The intensity of the storm just allowing you to retrace your footsteps and make your way back to
Right, that's a 10.
a 10. Okay. So it takes quite a while to get back to the village as you all set out. The combination of it being late at night, torrential rain, and moving with 5 very tired children slows your pace considerably. And so by the time you arrive at the Satyr village, it's probably pressing about 3 or so in the morning. You come up to the village. You remember that there are wooden stake fencing all around and a small guard post. You're able to kind of see a small lantern in the guard post. And as you kind of come up to the edge of it, you see what you can imagine to be Sprick and Sprack, the halfling satyr guards, kind of peering out.
Sprack, open the gates. We come from the Druid Grove. Let us in.
Oh, well, quite the late hour. Who is it that you have there with you?
We'll tell you when we're in. They're kids from the Druid Grove. Please.
Oh, okay. A moment. And he kind of goes down the ladder, opens up a door, and dashes through while the other kind of begins to open up the gates. You imagine he must be going to get the village leader while Sprack opens. And after a moment, Rick, the stater, returns as Sprack is kind of finishing open the gates with a Gildan, the halfling woman, who is kind of putting on some robes as it's the middle of the night. And she looks at the group of you. What on earth brings you here at this late hour?
The grove has been burned.
There are no survivors, only these children.
By the gods. What on earth happened?
Baldor Kesh and his crew attacked the grove and left it to burn.
You must have hit your head or something. Baldor Kesh is just a boogeyman story. Come, get in out of the rain. We can talk when you're dry. And she turns and kind of leads you towards her house and will open the door and usher the whole group in.
Yeah. I go in, I bring the kids and everything like it. Kind of solemn.
Come, sit. We don't have much in the way of food prepared, as she's like kind of lighting lanterns quickly as she makes her way around. She's takes a match and is lighting several candles and lanterns around the house, which is in pitch black considering that the storm continues. And she'll try to bring out like a plate of some food to offer to the party. Again, I'm just so confused. How is this possible?
I'm stripping off my armor, trying to get dry, and as I do so, I have fought in more wars than you can count. I have seen all manner of death, but I have never seen anything like what we saw today. And we saw those that were responsible for it. So believe me when I tell you, it was Baldor Kesh. I don't know why, but it was him, and he was there.
He was summoned through a portal that was ripped into the elder tree. Just...
I don't know what to say, and all the druids are dead?
We weren't able to find any survivors other than these children. We ran into the fire, we searched the tree, we searched the clearings. There were so many bodies.
And what is it that you intend to do now?
That's to be discussed.
We've barely had time
question.
to even gather what's happened. First, we had to make sure these kids were safe.
Well, yes, indeed. Let me find a place for the children to sleep through the night and get the rest, the poor dears. I must meet with the village elders to discuss this. Allow me to leave you here, and of course you are welcome to stay the night. And she's just completely flustered by the news, and as if moving on autopilot, kind of turns and hurries the children into another room, and you can begin as she begins to kind of pull down some blankets and give some orders to Sprick and Sprack, who are equally as dumbfounded by this news. And so Sprick and Sprack kind of run out into the night, assumedly to gather several of said village elders, as she begins putting the children to rest, leaving the four of you in this room to discuss. Cry.
I clearly just finally sort of spooling up, catching that, oh, right, we're here now. I look down at myself and then, like, realize I'm dripping wet and more than a little exhausted, and begin casting prestidigitation to clean myself up, at least to some semblance of what I would expect of myself.
How is everybody? I'd like to do a medicine check to see how everybody's doing, because I do still have a cure wounds. I can help somebody if they need it.
I'm singed and a little bruised and battered from falling down a flaming tree.
Thank you
Okay.
for your help. I hope these tombs prove worthwhile for all the effort we expended.
I'll pop a level 1 cure wounds into Goro, because he's looking a little rough. I can give you 9 hit points.
I take a big if there's alcohol in this room that we're in, I will take a big drink of it, and as she heals me, gulp it down with a thanks. I needed that.
She kind of I'll give you a pat on the shoulder and sit back for a minute.
While that's going on, I am just sitting there kind of looking at the floor. Koji's in my lap, and I just kind of, without looking up, what? We can't let this just go. Those people, that being, we couldn't do anything against it. But we can't just let it go. How do we fight something like that? We can't just sit idly. What do we do?
I have no intention of sitting idly. And with that,
Me
I
neither.
gesture to the books. I pray that the answer is in those, but if not, we can still search it out. I don't know what that creature was, but I fear that the damage it wrought is worse than any of us may know. Gale told me that the tree was the heart of the forest, and I don't know if you saw it, Ryu, but the plants outside were fading into shadow almost, even as we left.
Yes. I could feel the forest dying. How can something happen so suddenly? I mean, it seems so safe. I guess it was just a dream.
I kind of slam down the mug of whatever I'm drinking. Just kind of growl. A dream? What about that was a dream?
Safety. The events weren't a dream.
If you believe the myths and the legends, Baldor Kesh is a creature, is a death and fighting and war and destruction. I've only heard of tales and rumors of thousands falling at his feet in death and blood. If you want to take action against him, if you want some kind of revenge, right now, we'll all end up like those druids. and vengeance will change the very nature of who you are. But if you want to go after him, and all of his ilk, my spear and shield are with you, but not now. We are not strong enough, and it pains me to say that, but it is something that we can strive for.
We also don't know enough. There are things that I think he knows that we certainly don't, at least that I don't. If we have any hope of standing up against not just him, but the other people that he was with, we need to know more information. We need to know as much as we can find.
It was very interested in you, almost as though it recognized you.
Yes, it took something from you. What was it?
DM, only because I need to ask. Couldn't remember at the end of the session. Did he take the necklace, or am I still wearing it?
You
He took
are
it,
still
right?
wearing it. You look
Okay.
down and notice that like much of your collar has been ripped and torn.
Mhm.
And he observed it, but he did leave it with. From Goro's
Okay.
perspective, it might very well have looked like he took it, but in fact you do.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to check. Thank you. Yeah, I kind of reach to around my neck and feel at the chain. I don't pull the pendant out, but I feel at it. I'll look at Mora and she goes, "It's not someone I recognized. He seemed like he knew about something to do with my necklace."
And what is your necklace? It is magical, I can tell that.
I'll pull it out so the group can actually see what it looks like. I've had this since I can't remember when. I just thought it was a sentimental something. I've always had it. I don't know how he would know about it.
But do you know what it does?
I just assumed it was a necklace. You're saying it does something? This is you're saying my necklace is magic.
Indeed it is. I saw it when we were by the river. I know a little bit about it, but if you will, this evening I could learn much more.
Oh, I guess knowledge is going to be a friend of ours if we're going to be going up against the likes of him, so I guess a good place to start would be figuring out what this necklace does, if it in fact does anything. Might tell us why he knew or possibly wanted it. Yes.
I think that would be wise as well. I appreciate you putting your trust to help us figure this out.
Well, I think after a day like today, the best thing that we can do is if we're all bent on seeing justice served for what happened today with the druids, a good start is being able to trust one another and work as a team. I'd say today, with everything that we could do, I think it's definitely a start. And I'll take the necklace off and I'll hold it out to Mora.
Take it with great care. Bow to her. And I will need to cast the ritual of Identify. It will take a little time.
Okay.
Before I do, I should probably also share one thing. There was another one with whom I exchanged words. Kushna, I believe, if I'm mispronouncing it. Well, in a way, we recognized one another. He's an enchanter. We are rare.
You recognize you've known him from before today?
No, I just recognized his magical capabilities
Oh,
He and I share knowledge after a fashion, but it is not looked upon kindly by most.
Then, if there, where would one learn this? Maybe if we know where he, maybe if we know that, we can find where he comes from, where he started. Who is he?
Yes, that is a good insight. I know of only one place to learn such things, and I have trouble believing that my former mentor would have instructed him. But it is a place to start, I suppose. I know of no other place that has such knowledge.
Then where is it?
The Royal Academy of Magic.
Royal Academy.
is it far from here?
Would be over a week's march, perhaps nearly 2, depending on how fast we travel.
Oh, and this academy this academy, does have a large library, resources. Maybe we could, 2 birds, 1 stone. Maybe
Yes.
I'll be able to find something more about Baldor Kesh. I'm
It's in the
afraid
city.
I'm afraid I don't know much.
It's in the city of Ravenslock. It's definitely a large institution with a grand library, the greatest perhaps in the world, but uh, I will need to tread a little lightly there, I think.
Did you leave the school on not pleasant terms?
Not all who are there have the best of intentions.
I don't know about everybody else here, but that seems like a good place to start if we're looking for information. Does anyone else have any ideas?
Let me also examine this necklace of yours.
I say we rest tonight, gather what supplies we need, return to the guild hall, and then make our way to Ravenslock for more answers. The strategy here is information. We don't attack Baldor Kesh head on, but we understand his organization, who he is, who supports him, and begin to take it down brick by brick. Unless we want to mount an army and attack him head on. But I don't think we should do that. Not now.
I agree. I
How
agree.
long do we have before he does this again? How many more people will die?
I think you, Ryu, need to understand that we will not be able to stop the tide of his destruction and death. Not right now.
I think I don't know that.
But you need to be okay with it. You will get stronger, and you will rise up and be able to take him down. But you cannot do it now.
The
Let
more
it fuel
information,
you.
yes, and the more information that we gather about who he is, where he's coming from, these people that he's working with, even if it's that will help us, and also giving us time to recover from the things that we saw today. I'm not saying to forget them. Goodness knows we shouldn't. What we saw today was horrific. And we should never, no one should ever have to experience that. But in the long run, if we want to prevent a mass destruction like this from happening again, going up against them will only prove to be disastrous if we don't have a little bit more information on how he or his lackeys operate.
I just kind of sit, and some may notice, like my fists, my knuckles are white, just clenched, like my jaw is clenched, and just like stone face, just looking down.
It's gonna
Trying
kind of.
to keep it together.
I'm just gonna kind of reach over and just a gentle hand, like on his forearm, and I just under my breath to him, just like, I am very sorry.
It's it's not long after that Gildan returns into the room. She looks, says, "Wow, the kids are asleep. I need to go speak to the village elders, decide what is to be done with this information. But the four of you rest here tonight, and we will discuss more in the morning." And
Gildan, Gildan, before you go, understand that those kids are the last remaining children of the forest.
yes,
They should be with you. They should be somewhere that they understand. They cannot go to a city like Ravenslock or Greenhaven. It is not where they belong. Impress upon your elders that they remain here safe with you.
I will discuss it and be the wisdom to your words, but we'll discuss more in the morning. You can see quite a bit of tiredness on her and a little bit of weight on her own shoulders. Obviously, she hasn't gone through anything comparatively four of you have today, but the weight of being a leader in the village is weighing heavy upon her as many decisions to make, and she kind of within her thoughts takes exit of the house, and from a window you can see her kind of making her way to the gathering hall. But from here, the four of you are able to settle in.
A long rest and heal up a little bit.
Before we take the rest, I would like to cast the Identify spell so that it's not counting against me to cast it the next day.
Sure.
Smart.
Let's do that then. So you are all able to settle in. You find you have your bed rolls, and it might be a little damp considering there was enough rain to seep into most of your packs. But you have some rations. There is a little bit of food that was laid out by Gildan, and you are able to begin your long rest. We'll start with Mora. If there's anything else the party would like to do, or individuals, please let me know. But we'll start with Mora and casting this Identify spell.
So I will prepare the ritual. I will get out the spell book and the materials, and while holding the necklace, I will then take the 10 minutes and recite and cast the spell and learn what I can learn of it. Its properties, how to use them, what's any spells are affecting the item, what they are, that sort of thing.
You take the 10 minutes, cast Identify. You place it on the table, and with your grimoire open, it lights up a rune of magic kind of carves into the table underneath the locket, and it lights up in a blue-green energy the area of the room. Everyone can see it, and it's as if words are circling around the amulet, and you hear whispers, questioning whispers, as if the spell itself is asking questions of the necklace. And it begins to rattle and shake, and you begin to hear something of a whispered conversation. Nothing that you can make out in terms of actual words. It's just the sounds of the hushed noises. But it begins to take shape in your mind. It begins to take shape in your mind what the effects of this pendant is. And you realize that the pendant has in it 3 charges of protection from good and evil. And it does require attunement. And then it gets a +1 to your AC. So it's a +1 to AC with 3 charges of protection from good and evil, requiring attunement. As the spell continues to identify, and you remember that this is a transmutation magic is here.
Mm-hmm.
There is something more, but it exists out of any class of identification. Right? There's something that exists in this amulet. And if we think about identify as being something that can reach out to the collected knowledge of the academy, of magic users around the world, it's as if it's going into the world wide web of information and collecting it. There's something that seems to be existing just beyond the edge of that knowledge.
All right. And that's going to certainly surprise me. I've probably never encountered anything quite like that in terms of using this spell before. So, all right. I will turn back to the group, to Aya in particular, and hand her back the necklace.
Mm-hmm.
This will certainly protect you. It also has the ability to protect you and ward you 3 times, perhaps per day even, against good and evil. But there is some deeper magic on it that I cannot discern, and that is most unusual. I'm not entirely certain as to how we would discover, but it's carrying some, well, you saw the mark upon it. It's carrying something within, or a connection beyond this place, another plane, perhaps. Well, again, we must seek knowledge, and those who might be able to tell us more.
Baldor
It's
Kesh.
powerful, though.
Baldor Kesh seemed very interested in it. He must have been able to sense the magic immediately, or at the very least recognize the locket. I don't know how. I've certainly never met him before.
He could even read the rune upon it.
Possibly. I also don't know who gave this necklace to me. I've had it for so long. Certainly hope he didn't know who I got it from, or who gave
You
it to
had
me.
it as a child? Or was it a gift of the temple?
It definitely wasn't a gift of the temple. I've had it for... always had this.
Where are you from?
I take my nice, crisp, although it's looking a little worse for wear, cap that I've got on my head. I kind of take it off and run a hand through my hair and just... I was left on the steps of the monastery that I was trained in as a very young child. I grew up with a lot of the other children, the other orphans that were raised by the Church of the Sister. One of my good friends, who I basically see as a brother that I grew up with, Hide, I don't really know where he is now, but he could vouch I've had it for forever. I've always kept it very close. I wasn't aware it did anything. I thought it was maybe a remnant left from whoever gave me up or something.
Was it perhaps... Okay, actually, Guildmaster, I'd like to do an insight check on Aya.
Sure.
Should I roll anything, DM?
No.
Okay, just check.
With my grand 6.
Okay, what are you looking to check?
I just want to see if she's in earnest, if she believes the words she's saying.
Yeah, that's Aya really wears her emotions and all of that on her sleeve. She does not seem to be one that holds much close to the chest. Seems to be very forthright with the information that she's offering to you. Her understanding being that she was a toddler, a very young child, ever since her earliest memories at the monastery. She's always had this necklace, and nobody has ever really mentioned anything about it before. It sits on a gold chain, and kind of at the base of it is a bluish green stone that's kind of wrapped in gold as well, and very nice piece. It's very attractive, but nobody's really ever said anything about it.
Will narrow my eyes slightly, looking at her, and I will speak in Elvish and say, "Do you know your parents at all? Anything about them?"
I shake my head. No. I would assume. And then you see, like, I kind of force a little bit of humor, and she's like, I would assume one of them was an elf, and she gestures to her ears. But then the smile kind of fades back to a more neutral.
Just wondered if perhaps this came from that parent.
I have no way of knowing. I never really asked the sisters or the religious leaders of the church. I was more focused growing up on forming friendships and familiar bonds with the leaders of the church and the other children that I was with. They're more a family to me than whoever left me.
As the conversation kind of comes to a close, and it's about 4 o'clock in the morning, very early, through the cloud cover, very early signs of morning are beginning to break as you all settle in for a long rest. So the 4 of you have taken your long rest, and frankly, the 4 of you were out cold. It was the day before was one of the most arduous and stressful any of you had ever experienced, and it really takes the full 8 hours to get back to good health. And so as you awake, you realize that you have slept away most of the day, and outside you awaken to the noise of, again, heavy rain, a crack of thunder and lightning, but also the sounds of people shouting back and forth instructions. Load that up, get this ready, over here, help me with this. What would you like to do?
Does it look like all the activity, does it look like they're packing up, they're leaving, or this is just normal for the day?
It looks as though they are in the very early stages of a very large move.
Where's Gildan?
You, from inside, you're able to see that she is kind of with a heavy cloak on, kind of standing in the center, pointing and directing Sprick and Sprack as well as others to help some of the elderly and whatnot. And around her seemed to be what you would imagine to be the city elders that she was speaking of.
I will cross to her. We have rested. We will be gathering our things and returning to Greenhaven once we're all ready. Where are you going? What is this activity?
Well, to be perfectly honest, the village has relied on the protection of the druids, and if that protection is gone, we will need time to reorganize ourselves and take stock as to whether or not this forest is really somewhere safe for us. So many of us are moving on. Some of the satyrs have been here in the woods. The halflings originally were from a village a good bit ways to the east, so we are going on our own ways for the time being.
So be it. Well, we will ready ourselves and be off back to Greenhaven. And I turn to go back to our hut.
Mhm.
What of the children, though? Will they stay in the forest with where?
Gildan kind of gives you a sorrowful look, and she says, I tried to make Goro's point to the elders, but it was decided that the children will have to go with the four of you. You are capable adventurers, and we are simply villagers. Not exactly prosperous ones at that. Have a much better chance of surviving with the four of you to with any of us, and we have a certain amount of mouths to feed and backs to protect. So you must take them with you.
It's the children of the forest. What, do you expect us to open an orphanage?
She looks at you, clearly a little upset, as if maybe she had been in the minority argument when the decision was made. She says, I understand, but you are adventurers associated with the guild. Perhaps the guild could help figure out living arrangements. We are breaking up as it is. I'm not sure we would be any better. Not all of us are staying.
And perhaps they are not better with you. We will take care of them.
I just look at Gildan and shake my head and go and gather my things. Get the children ready then. We're going.
All right. And I'm just gonna head over to where the kids are and kind of help them do stuff.
Yeah, that was head down. I kind of turn and do the same.
Yeah, I'll make all of my goods ready for the long trek back to Greenhaven. That's fine.
If there's nothing left for us here as they all are packing up, then I think we best just begin our travel back to Greenhaven. I can't remember how long the travel will be. It's several days?
The travel to Greenhaven in good condition takes about a couple of days back. You were even further north than just the Druid encampment, the Druid Grove. So getting back to that, then making your way south in good conditions takes a day and a half, 2 days. So you're imagining it'll take the better part of 2 days back down to Green.
I trust that Gildan and the elders are at least able to provide us some supplies and rations for the children that they are sending with us.
Gildan, again with a very heavy heart, will nod and say, yes, of course, we will spare all that we can. We're setting out. We will be sure to provide you with rations and bread and water, children.
All right.
Would it be possible to find a way back that avoids the great tree? I don't think that the children should have to see that again.
I agree.
I'll do my best. It might take some time, but we can get around.
Well, we will not be traveling quickly with these anyway.
So the four of you are able to gather up your things, and as the early afternoon goes by, Gildan really does do, and Sprick and Sprack as well, does everything they can do to try to set you up and the children for success. Sprick gives his cloak to one of the young children. Gildan comes out with various dried meats and breads and rations, and she's kind of wrapping it up into a bag, and she'll hand that over to Aya and say, please do take care of the children. I'm so sorry that we're not able to do more.
We'll do our very best. Hopefully the Adventurers Guild, hopefully the Guild knows of some way that we can help these children find a safe place to land.
Right, well, safe travels to all of you, and hopefully we will see you again one day under better circumstances.
Yes. Thank you for what you could do for us. All right, everybody, let's... Alrighty, and I'll just turn to the kids and kind of start lightly gesturing for them to start walking with us so we can get a head start.
All right. Well, I guess follow me, guys.
I will take up the rear and protect anything from behind.
I'll be somewhere in the middle.
So, the four of you set out with the 5 children. You are quite the procession as you make your way out of the village and back south, trying to avoid the elder tree as best you can. But Ryutaro, with your knowledge of the forest, and you guys have seen quite a bit of it at this point, you're fairly certain that you can get yourself back to the main road without much difficulty. In that this is the forest and is Ryutaro's favored terrain, you're able to make it through the forest with relatively little difficulty, as he's a capable guide through the woods. You find the rushing river, which was fairly calm the day before, but now with a day and night of intense rain is flooding up over the edges, and much of it has turned to rushing whitewater. However, it is still a good guide south, as you know that the river flows out of the great forest towards the ocean. And so, Ryutaro, you use this as a way to kind of get by the elder tree and back to the main road. And it takes you all the better part of the day just to break from the main road. Break from the forest and get back to the main road. You do eventually find it, however. Throughout this entire time, the rain has not relented. Thunder continues to crack occasionally with large streaks of lightning, and the children have settled enough that this too is frightening. So on top of trying to get 4, 5 or 6, 4 or 8-year-olds to move along, the constant rain and the constant thunder and lightning have made the trek very difficult on the children and the 4 of you. Well, you are able to make camp on the first night. Let me go ahead and we'll just do a quick watch schedule as you make camp, and I'll make some rolls to see.
I can take first.
I'll take second.
I can take third. If there's a need. I don't know how many watches we need to go through for the evening.
If we do 2-hour watches, so then more will go last, and we'll do 2-hour watches. So in that order, just go ahead and roll me a perception check. So our first watch was Ryutaro?
Yep.
Okay. So Ryutaro, in your first watch, the children are kind of settling to sleep, and what did you roll for perception?
I got a 19.
Okay. Nothing necessarily bad happens during your watch. Bryn has, since yesterday, has rarely been out of arm's reach of you. And for your entire watch, without saying a word, he just sits there and takes watch with you. He gives off the energy that he doesn't want to talk per se, but he, in a sentinel-like way, is sitting next to you for...
This kid's gonna grow up to be a fighter, and he's gonna get the sentinel feat. I can just see it now.
I'm gonna respect his desire not to talk because I'm kind of in the same. I think him and I are on the same wavelength right now. So,
Who is
Can I just
our...
say-
That's me. I got a 9.
A 9. Okay. Let me do a quick roll here. Okay. It gets to be a little bit later in the night, and you hear howling of trees and leaves. It's a cold, wet, miserable night. You can't help but feel as though much of the area is still ill at ease and alive with anxiety. It's not uncommon during your watch to see deer kind of jutting out of the thinning forest and down the road. You hear the whining and whimpering of coyotes who will kind of circle around camp, and it's as if their muscle memory tells them that they should be scavenging for food, but they're so kind of worked up and anxious that they just kind of whimper before, again, running off. Aya?
I had a 15.
A 15. All right, let me roll again. You relieve a clearly still very tired, but holding it together, Goro. You notice much of the same during your watch. And Mora, could I have you give me a history check?
All right. Natural 20 for a 26.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, there you have it. So, Mora, you find Aya kind of nodding off as you come to relieve her on her watch, as she got, kind of the midnight of the midnight shifts. And you relieve her, and you take a moment to flip through the book that you are able to take from the library. Much of the writings are about, let's say, significant goings on within the forest, within the context of the forest, right? Might not necessarily move the needle of what's happening in the surrounding world or anything, but this group of satyrs began a village here, or there was a rock slide that diverted the river there, kind of in. But as you flip through, you notice that Gale regularly talks about not just the elder tree, but the heart of the forest being a thing, being not an abstract an idea, but a gift from Dayron, and that existed within the heart of the the depths of the tree. And you begin to form the idea that that large blue crystal that Baldor Kesh had been holding in his hand must be the physical manifestation of the heart of the forest, and would explain why much of the forest was quickly wilting, not necessarily dying, but why much of Gale writes about how the heart has a magical effect on the forest, with which the druids pull their power, but also which gives an almost supernatural health and vibrance to the forest.
Excellent.
With that, day breaks. The children begin to wake, and I'm hungry. I don't like sleeping outside. When are we gonna be able to go home? Kind of mutterings between them, but for the most part, they're trying to be well-behaved children. Or the four of you.
I'm gonna just kind of as we do travel, try and keep their spirits up as best as possible. Tell Koji to flit around with them, distract them where possible, but mainly focusing on trying to get them somewhere safe out of the cold or nature.
Go ahead and roll me a persuasion. Why not?
Right. Mm-hmm. Why not? That is a 15.
You do a pretty good job. To be honest, you all feel as though Ryutaro's, antics, for lack of a better term, his effort to keep the spirits up, do bring a little bit of lightness to the mood. And, for the first time since the disaster, you see a few smiles on the face of the children throughout the day. And, even a couple of them will run ahead of the group a little bit and play for a bit, and then meet up with the group as you continue to make your way south. As you do, you notice that the condition of the roads is pretty miserable. This rain has been pretty torrential, and the mud is the kind of mud that your feet really sink down into. And while the children do find some amusement in this, for the four of you, it makes travel pretty difficult. You get into the better part of the afternoon, and at this point, the main road south is pretty well established. The main road back to Greenhaven is pretty well set out in front of you. Much of the area is lightly wooded. It is then that you begin to hear clanking and roaring and strange noises coming up ahead from down road. Give me one moment here. If there's anything you'd like to do, let me know, but give me one moment.
About how far are we from Greenhaven at this point?
You're probably about another day's walk away.
Okay.
Just for the sake of stage setting, similar to Ryu taking care of the kids and all of that along the way. As time goes on, I want to be doing my own sort of assessment of the kids and see if any of them have interest in the written word. Just by way of assessing them. That's all.
Yes, I would say that the girl, Annie, is particularly interested in you and was one of the ones that was interested in you at the tree. And very much whatever you kind of put in front of her, she goes wide-eyed and tries to ingest.
And as we travel, I will take a particular interest in return in showing her little bits of magic and marks with the prestidigitation and showing her some fun things in the book and just kind of keeping her interest.
It gets her interest to the point where like the other kids will kind of come over and tentatively want to like play and say, "Oh, Annie, we're gonna go over here," like da 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 da, and the chittering of children, and she just kind of brushes them aside. And as the day kind of progresses, you all kind of notice that Annie begins to walk in a way more similar to Mora. And like, so, you know, she's maybe all of 5, but her hips are swaying, and you can tell that like she's tightened up her shoulder blades a little bit as she's walking and trying to put on this air of maturity. Perhaps as something of a coping mechanism, trying to put on, you know, this very adult facade.
So cute.
But as the party kind of comes around the bend and hears this clanking and clacking, you turn and you see 2 members of the military police. Goro, you certainly, Mora, all of you would recognize members of the military. Goro, you're able to pick them up as kind of military police very quickly. A band of the military that normally operates domestically and facilitates order in and around Agonia rather than going out to the battlefields, specifically to the east and north. And they are very much engaged with what appears to be a very large ogre and some kind of lion-headed, winged creature. They are very much in the thick of battle, and as soon as the children see this, they begin to let out frightened shrieks of horror.
I step forward to the front of the group and look back to the kids and tell them, "Children, stay back and stay close. Huddle against that was like a fence line.
Yeah.
On the other side of the fence and stay close and stay low." So I'll move forward just 5 or 10 feet just to kind of be at the front. Do I recognize the lion-headed winged thing in my travels?
Yeah, go ahead and just give me a I'll say yes. You recognize it as being a manticore.
Got it. And to the others, brace yourselves. There's an ogre and a manticore up ahead, and 2 members of the royal police. Is what you said?
Of the military police, yeah.
Military police up ahead. And I will begin to move forward another 5 or 10 feet.
Okay. And I would say it's not difficult for it. You won't get a surprise round or anything, as it's fairly open and where you are. And so as the children kind of run behind the fence area there, there's enough motion to kind of alert anyone as to your presence. The 2 guards turn and see it. Oh, help there, help! And shout out to the group for assistance. And we will roll for initiative.
Hey. Woohoo. Woohoo.
4 for initiative.
I have a 13.
I have an 8. I was wondering when I was going to start getting not so great rolls. Apparently,
There
this
you
was
go.
good.
There you go. I just rolled another nat 20. So
Wow.
Hey!
gotta make up
Nice!
against all the nat ones that have been on the table here today.
Balance. It's all about balance, apparently.
When you
Today.
need it the most.
Yep.
So let me set the scene then for you, Mora. You look and you see that the Manicore is not on the ground. The Manicore is actually about 20 feet up in the air, beating these massive wings and snarling and roaring at the guards below. And this enormous ogre is swinging a great club furiously at the two of them as well. But you will begin us here tonight.
Is it clear that in terms of what they yelled out, or are they being attacked by the Manicore as well, or can I tell? Otherwise, it's just the ogre thing, right? That's
No,
attacking
yeah,
these guys.
It seems very much like they are being attacked by these two monsters.
Okay. Let's see. I always enjoy going first. All right. Well, given the layout of the field, I will take a 5-foot step to the right, and I will attempt to cast a witch bolt upon the Manticore up in the air.
Okay, give me 1 second to share my screen with the players. Sorry about that. Okay.
And I will go ahead and do that at second level.
Second level Witch Bolt on the Manticore, yeah? Alright, does it have to make a saving throw?
No, but it's only a 14 to hit. So I don't know if that makes it or not.
Yes, it is a 14 to hit. Just make it.
Excellent. All right. And so Morris steps to the side, gestures with both hands, raises them up in claws, and lightning streaks across and locks into the Manticore. And oh, man, only 3 points of damage.
Hey, damage is damage.
It's true. It's true. But anyway, the lightning is now arcing back and forth between us.
Got it. Okay. So you hear as the Manticore turns its attention towards where this lightning bolt is literally leading it to Mora. And with its flying ability, I'll just go ahead and pull it up here real quick. The rest of the party watches as it flies forward, and to the shrieks and the terrors of the children, it grabs at Mora. And Mora, I need you to make a strength saving throw, please.
Oh, my good one. Yeah, 3.
Okay. So it grabs, you feel as it grabs you with its large talon-like claws and pulls you 20 feet up into the air as you are grappled.
Right.
That makes it that makes it Ryu's turn.
All right. I am going to quickly say, as Goro told them, it's like, kids, just stay hidden. Don't move. And I run and I try and get myself between, kind of like the thing, between the monsters and them before I let out an attack. And of course, I have to use sharpshooter.
Yeah.
Who is it that you're attacking, by the way?
Manticore, sorry.
Okay,
Manticore, I just rolled a 22 to hit.
that will hit.
Hey, nice.
All right. So I'm going to use my newly found feat, Piercer, to re-roll this damage because I rolled a 1.
Woo.
Okie doke.
Oh, heck yeah. And so that deals 20 damage.
Nice.
And I'm going to use Koji's Infused Strike to add an additional 1d6 of fire damage.
Very
Hey.
nice.
Awesome.
For an additional 6 damage. Let's go. You know,
Nice.
Koji always throws big.
Koji is ready to fight.
Yeah.
He's always ready to throw hands. It's great.
Yep. And then, using my bonus action, I'm actually going to have Koji attack. So
Okay.
that would be 1d20 plus 5 for a nat 20.
Awesome.
Nat 20.
Amazing.
So here I was just goofing. And that will be 6 damage of piercing again against the Manticore.
Great. Yeah, the Manticore is looking pretty damaged.
A good 32 damage.
Dang.
Yeah, that was round. That was round. Okay, that makes it Aya's turn.
Cool. Oh my gosh, you guys, really? With my not so great initiative roll? All right. Okay, I would like to move. Let me see on the map here. 10, 20, all right, I'd like to get, I'd say, about 15 feet closer to the first knight that's there, the one that's closest to me. So get within like 3 squares of him. So this way I have both the Manticore and the ogre in range for me.
Sorry, give it to me one more time where you're looking to move.
I would like to move let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 squares down and 1 square to the right.
Okie doke.
So I'm like right near that tree line.
Got
Yeah. And I would like to, for my action, I would like to cast, where is it? I'd like to cast Bane on both the Manticore and on the ogre.
Awesome. Great. Do they have to do
And
anything for Bane?
They have to make a charisma saving throw.
Oh, good.
They have to beat a 14.
Yeah, because both are clearly charismatic. The ogre rolls exceptionally well.
Dang it.
However, the Manticore does not. So the Manticore is baned.
Awesome. So that Manticore, until the spell ends, and the spell lasts concentration up to 1 minute, they have to take 1d4 and subtract that from any attack or saving throw that they make.
Okay.
For the next.
Ooh, nice.
And for my bonus action, I would like to summon my spiritual weapon. And still within range. And I would like to use the spiritual weapon in the air to take a nice big swing at the hit the Manticore to hopefully, like, either I like to see if I can hit the Manticore in one of the wings to ground it.
Yes.
So it can't fly up into the air. That's
Yes.
my goal.
So you start to summon your spiritual weapon, but it's going to take you to your next action to be able to do that, right? Because you cast Bane, which is a first level spell, right?
Yes.
Yes. So
This also, it has spiritual weapon as a bonus action, though.
right. So you
Okay.
can cast it on your bonus action, but you can't cast both that first level spell and a bonus. You don't get 2 turns to cast spells, right? So there are 2 actions spell. So in this case, you can cast like a cantrip and then your bonus action. But if you cast a first level spell, Bane, that eats up, blocks your ability to cast a bonus action spell as well.
Okay.
So you begin to cast it, and then that will manifest itself. In the future, you can still use like your mace or something to attack someone within range, and then cast a spell, spiritual weapon on your bonus action. Okay, that makes it the ogre's turn. The ogre takes a massive swing with its great club and bats at the first guard. to hit, and you can see as blood just kind of splurts out of the cheek of the guard as he takes this great club to the face, and he's on a knee, just trying to hold on a little bit longer as the two of them square off against the ogre. Let me go ahead and roll real quick for them. Unfortunately, both of them miss their attacks, and that's going to bring us to Goro at the bottom of the order.
I will, if I charge forward, since the manticore is about 20 feet in the air, can I go underneath them and not have an opportunity attack against me since it's grappled with Mora?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm going to charge forward 30 feet, a straight line underneath. And from there, charge forward 30 feet, turn and throw a javelin up at the manticore.
Okay.
Hold on a second. That was a 1, but hold on. I think I'm going to do a... No, that's a nat... That's a nat 1. Damn it.
Got it. Okay.
Don't worry, girl. I got the ow.
Yeah. Mora, go ahead and roll a dexterity saving throw at disadvantage. Okay. Goro, go ahead and roll damage for that javelin.
Oh no.
5.
Okay, so you are charging forward and you spin on a heel and you let loose the javelin, and it should have hit. It was on line, but the beating wings of this manticore kind of get a big gush of air underneath them, and it pulls up, and just as it does, you see what's about to happen as Mora takes the javelin, grazes to the side, and she takes 5 points of javelin damage.
And do I have to make a concentration check for that?
Yes.
What is that? Is it a con save?
Yeah, con save.
Yeah. Or
Yeah, so the shock and surprise of the last 6 seconds has really gotten to Mora as she drops concentration on the witch bolt.
big eyes looking over at where that came from.
Turn and focus at the ogre, and I'm not looking. My embarrassed mistake.
Goro spins back around on heel, bright red, refocusing. So that brings us to the top of the round and Mora's turn.
Right. So I had a brilliant plan. My brilliant plan just got stabbed. So fine, screw it. I'm done with this. Bonus action, Bamf. I will remove myself from its clutches and be down on the ground and 10 feet away from it.
Okay. Move you over here. You said?
Yep.
Okay. That helps us at all. Okay, that makes it the Manticore's turn. It notices that its prey has bamfed out, and it begins to circle around, and it notices what is a much easier prey.
Oh, screw you. Heck no. Do not go for them kiddos.
In the form of Kale, one of the little boys in the group, and it swoops down. And
if it's making an attack roll, you have to take 1d4 away from it because of the bane.
Yep. Okay, so it grabs Kale in its claws. It's not necessarily an attack roll. I mean, it's just this little child, and it grabs it in its claws, and it was about 20 feet up, 20 feet down, so it's about 30 feet up in the air, being a little bit lighter than Mora, as that's going to be the action of the manticore as it seems to be flying away with an easy snack, making it Ryu's turn.
Oh, no, you don't. I'm going to attack again. Yeah! For a 21 to hit the manticore.
21 hits.
All right. And I will keep that one. So that's 21 piercing damage. Plus, I'll use Koji's reaction to infuse it.
And just to be clear, when you're making these rolls, you're remembering to minus your 5 from it, right? So it's not a 21.
Yep.
It's
I rolled an 18 and a 19. So
Okay.
I get plus 3 because,
Got it.
I've been, So, yes. So I deal 21 piercing, 4 fire damage. And then as a bonus action, I will have Koji attack it as well. If it is still up.
It is.
And that will be a natural 1.
Okay.
So
Koji
Gambit today.
Koji rolls a natural 1 to hit.
Yep.
Okay. So Koji comes flying up and gets right in the manticore's face.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. And it's a -4.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Bane, yes.
Okay.
Minus 1d4.
Minus 1d4. So that's a 16 to hit.
That meets.
Okay. So Koji takes 9 points of piercing damage as he gets a bite from the manticore. And that makes it Aya's turn.
Okay, so Manticore is still flying ahead above us with the child in his clutches.
Yes.
Okay. So the bonus action that I had before was the my spiritual weapon
Right.
winding up
Right.
to hit his wings to hopefully ground it.
Yes.
Or severely impede it so it can't fly as well. But should I do like my cantrip first and then that, or should it be the bonus action first since I was preparing it for last
go
turn?
ahead. Go ahead and roll to attack with your spiritual weapon.
Okay. Let me switch tabs. Uh, 12.
12 does not hit.
Hey, I am lucky though, so I think yes, I'm lucky. So I'm gonna expend one of those to re-roll that.
Okay, give it a shot. You should have a full complement of luck points today.
Yeah, I do. I have 3. So I guess I'm going with the other one.
Yeah, unfortunately, neither of those will hit.
Dang it! It's just those wings are moving so fast.
Yes, indeed.
Get frustrated with that. Like, you see, like I'm visibly kind of like I get really excited. And I'm just about to hit the one wing, and it glances through and it misses, and she's like, and then she sends out. Let me see. I'm gonna send out a cantrip of sacred flame at one of those wings to try to like burn a hole in the membrane of those wings. Like,
yeah, go for it.
Try to check that out. So the manticore has to make a dex save of 14 to not get hit with that.
Even with the -4, it very much makes it. It's pretty dexterous.
Dang. Ugh. All right. Nope. I'm gonna bring out the big guns next time. But it's still veined because concentration hasn't been dropped.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The ogre takes several big swings actually, with its great club, or sorry, one big swing with its great club. I was on the wrong creature, and knocks the one in front of it like clear spinning into the air, and you can hear the crunching of the guard's backbone as he falls down dead in front of the ogre, who lets out a kind of roar, and you can see spittle and bone and yesterday's meal kind of all flying out of its. That makes it Goro's turn.
Ew.
I look back at the other three and yell, get the manticore on the ground, keep the children safe. I'm going after the ogre. And I pull forward my boar spear and shield up and charge in. Whoa, and charge in for a pole arm attack. For an 8. But I miss and immediately yell, action surge! Not letting that one get away for another attack of my spear. This time for a 22 to hit.
Oh yeah, that'll hit. That one will hit.
For 6 damage, and I immediately continue the attack with my bonus to hit it with the blunt side of my spear for another 22 to hit and 6 damage, 6 bludgeoning damage.
Okay, sorry, real quick, what was the total damage? There was 6, and what was the other one?
In total, 12.
Oh, thank you. That brings us back to the top of the round. Mora, you are about 10 feet away from where the manticore would be if it's on the ground. It's about 30 feet up in the air.
Right. I will look up at it and making some gestures with my fingers, I will speak up to it and my ring flashes and motes of light appear around it. And it hears me speak to it. And I say, I suggest you place the child safely upon the ground and then fly as far as you can from this place. You are bored of this. And I cast suggestion.
Hey.
It needs to make a Wisdom 14 save throw, and I believe it has the Bane upon it as well. So that's going to be a modifier.
Yes, so it rolled a 14 and then minus its 2 and then minus its 4. So it very much fails that one. And you all watch as the magic kind of flares out of Mora's ring and the manticore, squaring the manticore like square in the forehead of its human-like face. And its expression softens for a moment before very gently placing Kale back on the ground, and then with a massive swoop of its wings takes the rest of its action to fly overhead and away.
Wow.
I'll say to those around me, do not strike it, you will break the spell.
All right.
It
That was amazing.
is the manticore's turn. It fails again spectacularly on its wisdom saving throw to try to break the suggestion, and uses its full dash action to fly 100 feet away from the party. This makes it...
Fieldmaster?
Yes.
Just as an FYI, the suggestion spell, it's not every round. It is locked unless somebody
Locked and
damages
loaded.
it. And then if it damages, then it's over.
Fantastic. Okay, so in that case, he just uses its full 100-foot dash to get the heck out of Dodge.
As long as I'm concentrating. Yeah.
Heck yes. All right. Cool.
And that brings us to Ryu's turn.
Good job, Mora. Now let's take down this troll. And I do a marksman attack. For a 5. So I think that might miss.
A 5 does not quite hit.
Not quite. And so then I'm going to have Koji, with my bonus action, run up to said troll
Yep.
and attack it
Sure.
for a 16.
That will hit. Yes.
Cool. Then it deals 5 piercing damage.
All right. And Aya, you are up. You have your spiritual weapon available to you, which you can now use on your bonus action, right? So you can attack something and then also use your bonus action to use your spiritual weapon.
Okay, cool. So it's going to be a double whammy. So I'm going to turn towards the ogre and went, oh, okay, I see how it is. Crack her knuckles a little bit, and she's going to channel divinity
Okay.
on the ogre and just right down on him. Makes a con saving throw. I'll roll damage, and if he saves, then he takes half of it.
Okay, he's pretty burly, and he saves.
Okay, so takes half of 19, so
Wow.
9 or 10. I'll leave that up to the DM to decide.
Okay.
Sorry, plus 4. Oh, I'd already called that in. Yeah, so that's that. And then as soon as that's done, it's like wham, and then I'd like to do that slams her from the top, and then she does an uppercut with the rose mace for her with her spiritual weapon to
Nice.
bash him in the face. That spiritual weapon attack is a 23 to hit.
All right, fantastic. 23 will hit.
Awesome. And that one only does 5 damage, so
Alright, that's
that
great.
one's not so great. But it's something.
Yeah, so
Damage.
Aya is kind of standing back, and there is in front of the eyes of this ogre, this massive blast of radiant light, and it kind of staggers and shakes, shaking its head back and forth as the radiant divine light kind of momentarily blinds it. And then just as it's kind of rubbing its eyes back into focus, it sees kind of low to the ground, zooming past Aya, zooming past the remaining living military police soldier, this rose-budded mace, and it comes up, zoom, and knocks him square in the chin. And now it seems to be very much enraged as it becomes its turn. And it looks to this Leonin that just charged it with its great club, comes smashing down for a hit, but is only an 18 to hit. Does that hit? On Goro.
20 armor class with my shield, so no.
So big old no. All right, well that's the ogre's turn. The guard to the north kind of comes forward. This one's down. And the guard to the north comes forward to take a swing. Will hit. For 3 points of damage, making it Goro's turn.
I will charge forward with a smile after glancing off that blow with my spear. For a 17 to hit.
17 will hit.
And then I will let out the cry, superiority maneuver, disarming attack. So I'm going to add an additional D8 to my damage. So let's roll that. So 6, that's 6 plus, let me look at my D8 here. So that's 12 total.
Okay.
And the ogre needs to make a strength saving throw. And if he fails, he is disarmed. He's got to beat a 13.
So Goro lets out disarming strike, and the ogre takes a moment to almost smugly look at you. I mean, it is a large creature, and it is very firmly holding on to its club, and it's reaching up for another attack as your spear cuts across the fatty palm area of its hand, and it lets out an anguished yell, releasing the club, the great club that comes smashing to the ground as it grabs onto its bloodied hand, itself now being bloodied.
And I will do right into my bonus attack to attack with the blunt end of my spear. For a 16 to hit.
16 hits.
And another 6 damage as I whip it around and bring it up between its legs.
Oh! Yes.
Amazing. I love Goro so much. This is so cool.
Yeah, right.
That brings us to the top of the round. Mora, you look and you see this ogre has kind of blanked out white eyes and a somewhat goofy expression as it's had the family jewels damaged. And we are at the top of the round and your turn.
Well, let's lean into that a little bit, shall we? And I cast Mind Sliver at it, driving a spike into its brain. So, int 14 save.
All of a sudden, Goro, you're looking at this ogre, and little cuckoo birds have been flying around its head, and then all of a sudden it blinks, and there's just straight blankness. Like every thought, even of pain, has exited the ogre's mind as the Mind Sliver hits.
All right, that is 6 points of psychic damage.
Okay. You guys are liking sixes.
Amazing. It's a popular number.
And it will be 4 off of its next saving throw.
Got it. All right. That brings us to Ryu's turn. And Ryu, you're just able to see over the last bits of trees. The manticore is just a speck in the distance at this point, as it's about 200 feet away from you.
All right. Well, seeing as it is running, and Mora said, because it's not carrying anybody, so I'll let that go and change to the troll again to shoot
Ogre.
the marksman. Shoot the ogre with marksman for a 16.
16 will hit.
Sweet. All right, and I'm going to use my feet to re-roll. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Awesome.
You were
So
so
that is
much good damage, dude. This is
22
amazing.
damage, and I'll use Koji's reaction again to add
Well,
5
with
fire damage.
22 to hit, or 22 damage, you're fine. How would you like this ogre to die?
I like to think kind of as it's being accosted by the Goro, I just say, enough of this, and I just aim and shoot, and right between the eyes, just with my sharpshooter, nail it, and it goes. Oh.
Yeah. Just, and so this poor ogre, right? This poor ogre has gotten several like nut shot, mind shot, square shot, and you just hear it like its jaw kind of unhinges a little bit. And Goro, you have to like take a step back because it just timber falls at your feet, dead on the ground. We are out
Nice
of
shot.
initiative.
Guildmaster, I'd like to ask, so there were 2 guards. You deleted one of them off the map. I'm assuming that means that he is dead and gone.
He is dead and
Correct.
gone. Yes.
Okay. All right. Just checking.
If you're asking, like, could you use a spare the dying on him? I would say yes.
I would if I had that spell prepared. For
Okay,
today.
I just
Sadly,
thought that
do
might
not.
be what you were. Okay.
But yeah, no, I'm going to kind of straighten up my little, like, everything looks a little off kilter, so straighten up as best as I can, and walk up to the guard and just say, healing hand there, and she'll pop him with a. Does he? I mean, I'm assuming he's sustained some damage, so I'm gonna pop him with a first level cure wounds.
Oh, thank the gods. Thank you kindly.
It's not much. I give him 6 hit points back.
I mean, being that he's a guard, he probably doesn't have much more than 6 points, 6 health points to begin with. So he's, thank you kindly, friends. I can't imagine what would have happened had you not come along. Oh, we were set upon by this ogre at Manticore not long before you arrived.
I'm gonna kind of look, like, behind them. It looks kind of like there's a felled tree that blocked their path.
Yes.
Is that what it's looking like?
Okay. It looks like there's quite a bit blocking the path.
I'm sorry we got here a little too late for your friend.
Indeed, and I hate to say it, but just beyond the way, there's a couple more friends back there as well.
Oh dear. Also passed on, or
He
are they
nods.
still just? I'm sorry. I'm gonna turn around and go run over towards where Ryu is and check on the kids.
Yeah,
Specifically Cal, and make sure he's okay.
Yeah, I did. I mean, immediately once that fell, like had a moment of like, yes, and I was like, oh, kids, and I turn and go check on them as well.
The kids are okay. Kale is sobbing, head back, rivers of tears coming out of his eyes. But all in all, the kids are okay.
There was a cart on the road in that map. Was
Yes.
there a pack horse or donkey, mule along with it? Could we use this cart to go back into town?
The mule is dead. And the guard will is walking alongside you, talking with you, and kind of appraising the situation a little bit. And he says, we've been here since yesterday, trying to clear the main road. The storm blew down some trees and some rocks into the area, so we got sent up here to try to take care of it. And I think it was our mule that maybe drew the attention of this ogre and this manticore and tried to fend him off. If you need the cart, sure it wouldn't be a problem for you to take it.
Perhaps you should return with us to Greenhaven.
That's not a bad idea. Now, just down this road, and he points kind of to the nearby. Let me pull up the other one here. He points to the unblocked path. He says, just down this road, it's just getting kind of late. There's a village there with an inn. It might be worth setting up there for the night. That's where we came from originally, and that's where I'm stationed anyways.
I mean, but the kids could appreciate a night off the road.
Agreed.
Wonderful.
If you can reach us shortly, then yes, by all means.
Oh yeah, I'd say it's about another hour walk or so, but we should get there, at least get you out of this weather, as the rain has continued to persist. So, I mean, you guys have been walking and fighting this entire time in torrential rains. Would you like me to show you over there?
That'd be great.
All right, well,
Thanks.
follow me, he says. And it's not long before you come up to the village that he's talking about. This village is somewhere between that of Greenhaven and the satyrs' village. It has, like many of the towns you've seen, a proper wooden fence. In a world where ogres and manticores are something of a commonish occurrence, it makes sense to have said defenses. Most of the town seems to be kind of tucked away for the day, as the rain is pretty torrential. There's not much planting or whatnot could go on, and the guard kind of turns to you as you cross the bridge. And he says, "Well, that little building near the guard's post is called the Northern Fog. You might want to check in there and see if you could get a bed or a room for the night. They don't have much availability, but you could check. Hate to say it, but the town itself will probably be closed up on account of the rain. Trouble does seem to come out during the big storm, so we normally close up the gates to the city. No, understand that you are adventurers, but I'd say your best bet is just to try the Northern Fog."
And what was the name of this quaint hamlet, good sir?
Oh yeah, this is Two Oak. This is Two Oaks. And he kind of points to, on either side of the bridge, there are two large oak trees. And you are impressed by the uniqueness of the name. You are impressed that he was able to just call up that name as if he had always.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's
Do you
a
not
pretty
return
incredible
with
guy.
us? It seems unsafe out there. I would not want you to come to further harm.
Oh, I'll take up at the guard post here, and I've got a cot waiting for me inside the city. So I'll leave you here, and hope you and the kiddos are able to get back to Greenhaven in the morning.
Thank you for giving us this place. This is great.
Yes,
Much
thank
needed.
you.
The party is able to make its way towards the Northern Fog. So you come up to the building that is the Northern Fog, and it has kind of an iron sign out front of it that is a fog cloud with a pair of ram horns coming out of it, which the ram horn largely signifies Dayrin, the elder god, and is oftentimes associated with the northern areas of the kingdom. So it has somewhat of a didactic meaning there. It is a rather nice looking, if humble, tavern inn. There is an area to kind of stable horses, and in front of it there is a very eccentric wagon, a cloth-covered wagon, but with a very intricate, it's kind of a dark purple cloth wagon topping, but with very intricate, even darker purple weavings in it. And it seems as though like there's some doors on the cart itself, as if it could be open. It's very not a normal looking cart. I'm up to it, but otherwise it seems like there's activity in the inn and in the tavern.
Let's see about getting rooms then for the night.
Yeah, I would imagine the children would certainly wouldn't mind sleeping in a bed as opposed to on a cold, rainy floor, right? And looking down at the kiddos.
How far back from how far back up the road is the cart that we just left with the guard, or we left from the ogre?
I would say that you took the cart with you.
Okay.
If you wanted it. He, especially once you agree to go back to Two Oak, he's happy to, understands the situation as you explain it to him, is happy to let you have the cart, and allows you to take it with you to the tavern.
I would like to see about getting a pack animal to, tow the cart back to Greenhaven before we leave this town.
He agrees, and he says it'll take me, the night to arrange it, maybe get the approval from my supervisor, but I think we could make sure you have a horse and or some kind of pack animal. And this certainly falls under the kind of things that, like, in that you are adventurers in the Adventurers Guild, in good standing. Local military, police, guard, soldiers like this are often pretty happy to help if there's a situation that they can help you with.
Very good, soldier. My thanks. And I will go back to the fog, the northern fog.
Wonderful. Let me bring up that map. So the party enters into the tavern, and it is an attractive tavern. It has all of the keepings of a northern tavern. There is warmth immediately as there is a large roaring fire. At the first table, as you walk in, there are 4 very large, burly men kind of devouring ale and food that's been laid out for them, and 2 more kind of over by this stage area. And the 4 of them are kind of shouting back and forth. Oh, you should have seen what we did. And this is kind of going very boisterously back and forth. And a fairly attractive, slender young woman comes out. She's signified as 3 here. By the name of Sylvie. And she comes by with a plate of food and she lays it down. And the one kind of gives her a big smack on the rear and says, "Oh, well, keep the wine coming, honey," and makes his way, or she kind of rolls her eyes and yes, of course, and makes her way back towards the back room. And then at the table behind them, there is a solitary figure sitting, eating a meal quietly. Very short, stout, wide character with a very tall brimmed top hat, quietly eating.
Quite the lively inn.
No one wants to be in the rain.
Guess not. I don't blame them. I know I'm ready for a warm meal. It's been a while.
I agree.
Sylvie will pop her head out from hearing you. She'll pop her head out from what appears to be the kitchen in the back and says, well, we'll be welcome. We'll be right with you. Please, take a seat wherever you can. And then the children begin. At first were a little timid, but they kind of begin to venture into the tavern a little.
So, if what I'm looking at on the map, we have 2 tables. One of them is very full with a lot of men being very boisterous and happy about their meals and drink. You got the one further back towards the fireplace that has just the one lone person. And then what is that to the right? Is that a stage?
Yeah, so you notice that where 2 of the men are sitting, there seems to be a few musical instruments, a small stage, no kobolds, but it does appear to be where, like, maybe a bard would set up.
Okay.
I think so. I look around and I see that we have a bunch of people and really nowhere to sit. And I mean, the boisterous group of guys seem a little bit much for a group of kids. So I'm gonna walk up to the guy sitting alone at the table with the tall hat, and I just go, "Hi, my name's Ryu. How you doing?"
You introduce yourself, and he's sitting alone at this rather large table. eating, as you pass by these men, they have like heaping plates of food in front of them, and he has a much more Epicurean plate in front of him. His meal seems to be much more finely prepared, and he's eating it. And as you look at him, he is a hobgoblin, and hobgoblins are fairly rare. And any hobgoblin you've ever come across has been of a warring type. They tend to be live in tribes up in the mountains.
Yeah.
But he is, again, very wide and very short, and he has these two kind of Coke bottle like glasses that make his eyes kind of impossible to see. And he has long ears and a sharp nose and this tall, thin top hat. And he places his fork and his knife down and he looks up at you. Well, hello there. You? A pleasure to make your acquaintance.
And what's your name? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, of course not. I'm Dr. Von Brittlewood III.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Doctor.
Indeed. Would you and your companions care to take a seat?
We would love it. We've been on the road for quite a while, and these kids especially have had a tough trip. So we were hoping to find some room, and we'd love to make your acquaintance.
Certainly. Well, I was just enjoying this fine meal, a fine wine, and some good company would make it all the better. And he turns to Sylvie and says, "My dear, would you bring another bottle of wine for the table?" And Sylvie looks at him. Sylvie is clearly a small town girl, and this is both a busy night, and he's probably something of an odd character to have through here. So, of course, Doctor. Yes, of course. And turns, and a moment later returns with a fine bottle of wine. Thank you.
I just as she's grabbing it, I just run, "Hey, everybody, come meet the doctor. He said we can sit with them."
And Aya I stroll right up and it's like, "Hi, I'm Aya, and these," and she like gestures behind her was just a gaggle of children. Just these kids.
A pleasure. Oh, aren't you children, darling? He looks at you eyes as interesting. Do I detect something of a Eastern accent? East of Ravenslock, perhaps?
Yes, actually, I am. And she sits down at the table.
Wonderful. Yes, please sit. And your other friends over there? What looks to be a spellcaster and your Leonin friend?
Hey, Gora and Mora.
Yes, I am Mora. A pleasure to meet your acquaintance, good sir. Call me the Queen of Dreams.
Yes, indeed. The last I had heard of the Queen of Dreams, she was rarely venturing this far north. At least not this close to Ravenslock.
Travels take one where one must.
Yes, I suppose so. And you are Goro, you say?
Insight check on Dr. Von Brittlewood III.
Thank
He
you.
seems a little too smarmy and shady for me, let alone knowing our names.
Well, you were introduced.
Yeah.
But he does
Yeah.
very much seem like, as you're doing the insight check, he turns to you, Goro, and he says, "Oh my. The white spear of the Western Wars at my own table as well. is quite the occasion.
Nat 20 on the inside check. 22 total.
All of your gut is telling you that he's got the four of you pegged.
No other ill intentions?
None. I mean, none that like. I would say you find it very strange that this is, whilst oddly dressed, a very finely dressed hobgoblin, which you've never come across. You, Goro, have faced off against hobgoblins in the past, but they're always, run by like a warlord, and you fight them up in the mountains. You've never come across one in Agonia proper. And he seems very, very well informed, or in the case of Aya, being able to call out her accent, very astute.
Do pray tell, good doctor, what brings you to this little town in the middle of nowhere?
Well, I am the proprietor of a traveling carnival, though I left them recently at the trade roads to the south. I had been hoping to visit an old friend, though news has come to me that may no longer be possible. I intend my way back. And what of yourselves? What brings you to little town to the north? And he looks at Ryu. Yes, these are such precarious places. Such well-blooded people.
Yeah, I mean, we're just joining the Adventurers Guild, and traveling well, trying to make our way back to Greenhaven.
Do you have Koji with you?
Let's make an insight check on
Yeah.
Koji is with me. I think he's kind of like on my shoulder kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, insight check on that interaction happening between the two of them, because I could have sworn he said well-blooded.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an odd thing to say. Insight
Okay.
check. What's going on with that?
When he said that, I looked directly at Ryu, and both my eyebrows went up, and I definitely want to make an insight check.
Okay, wonderful. Both of you go ahead
I
and
rolled an 18 on insight.
Okay. And Mora?
And a 17 for me.
Okay.
Can I try and roll a deception check?
What?
Yes.
What is happening right now?
There it is.
I'm just going to plop down and start eating.
Yeah, I rolled a 14, so.
Okay. So the Mora and let's do this.
Okay.
Aya, you know well-blooded to be something of a idiom, a colloquialism for like I don't mean to say nobility here, but people of good birth, of standing, in the society. So it could be interpreted just as fine folk such as yourself, but it could also be interpreted as, people who are well-blooded are people who, in this Agonian society might be nobility, might be the wealthy, might be, a slightly higher class than common folk. But it's difficult to discern what he's getting at here, whether or not he means it way A, which is just you find folk, or way B, which would be if he's implying something about Ryu's birth. And Mora, you notice as the comment just kind of takes Ryu aback a little bit, right? Just kind of he seems flustered, and Ryu is, with his deception tech, kind of like shifting his weight from side to side. His eyes like glance to and fro a little bit, and then it's when Koji kind of pops up that you see this very large grin across the doctor's face, and he says, "Oh, so interesting. Yes, indeed. What does bring this far north?"
You know, just doing what you got to do. You know, right? Yeah.
Go ahead and give me a deception check.
Yeah. I rolled a 6.
Okay. Yes. Doing what you got to do. Completely unconvinced.
And what we have to do has much to do with taking these children to a place of safety.
I see. Was that your adventure, transporting children? It seemed like an odd chore for the Adventurers Guild. And he looks down at your rings, making it fairly obvious that you're identifiable, at least by your ring.
I would hardly call bringing these children to a place of safety a chore. This is the least. This is the least that we could do for them.
As I'm eating whatever bread or meals on the table, just kind of not even looking up really, just through kind of a growl, and we are protecting them from anyone that would cause them harm. And I give them just like a heavy, just let that sit in the air for a moment. And if that means killing everyone, we're gonna keep them safe.
Oh, I'm sure you will, yes. Why don't we do more? Go ahead and give me an insight check.
Well, had to happen. Nat 1. Was not paying much attention at that point.
Okay. Well, with the nat 1, Mora just kind of deep in your soul, deep in your gut, you agree with what Goro has said, with a moment of maybe primal feeling that is not a normal sensation.
No, but thinking back to the carnage that we've just seen, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Sylvie kind of comes out with another plate of food, like another set of food for all of you, and she kind of taps her apron a little bit, pats it dry, and says, well, please feel free to eat and drink your fill. I'm sorry to inform you, but the other gentlemen here have reserved the beds for the night. And you hear kind of laughter and ha 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 from the group of men in the area, laughing at all sorts of things and generally being fairly rude. As they're talking, they're using rather coarse language, making, not too subtle passes at Sylvie whenever near the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there another tavern and inn in town?
No, I'm afraid this is about it in terms of inns. There's a farmer up the road who sometimes will rent out hay in the barn for a nominal fee. At least it'll keep you out of the rain.
The just doing a perception check. The guys over sitting by the stage, do they look like they're with the 4 at the table?
Yeah, you don't even need to do a check. They're shouting back and forth at each other. Where's the entertainment? Come on! Someone sing a song! Kind of thing. One of them's like, I'm so bored.
Which one of them seems like they're the leader?
It's the guy directly below the doctor here. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
For a 17.
Okay. You quickly ascertain that him and the fella sitting next to him and the guy with the blue background up there towards where Sylvie's standing seem to be brothers. And they're talking to each other as such, right? Little bro, that kind of thing. And the other 3 just seem to be their drinking buddies and companions. So the 3 kind of at the top appear to be brothers. 3 below seem to be their buds.
I will get up from the table and come and stand at the head of theirs, just between the wall with the antlers
Mm-hmm.
and the head of their table.
What do you
And
want?
I'm not looking at any of them. I'm just kind of standing there. I'm standing there. But I'm not like making. I'm addressing their space. We're
Yeah.
gonna need your rooms and beds for the night. Find somewhere else to sleep.
The kind of wide-faced one kind of looks up. What'd you say?
Could I reach across the table and just slam him into the table?
Let's do an intimidation check. Go ahead and give me an
Okay.
intimidation check.
Get it, Goro. Get it.
Oh yes. 21.
A 21.
Nice.
Okay. So you grab him and you just slam him down, which is immediately met by both a surprise shout from him and all of the others stand up and begin shouting, "Hey, what are you doing there?" Is there anything you'd like to do in this moment?
Just holding my spear. My spear has been kind of against the wall, not too far. So it's not far from me. But I'll say again, calmly, not letting nothing rise. We want your rooms and beds for the night. Go sleep somewhere else.
The 4 others have all drawn their short swords and are quickly making their way towards you. And it's clear that a fight is about to break out when you hear the clinking of glass. And you all turn your attention to Brittlewood, who looks up, and the light kind of catches on his glasses as this big toothy grin. Gentlemen, please do forgive my well-armed Leonin friend here. You see, that there is Goro, a famed fighter from the Western Wars. And I'm sure he's tired from a long journey. Perhaps what my friend meant to say is that he would be willing to compensate you handsomely for the use of the rooms that you have already rented. And there would be no need or reason for there to be bloodshed or to involve your uncle. And at the mention of the uncle, the oldest brother, the one just below Mora, kind of gives a harumph. And why don't we do it this way? Why don't you all... Well, no, let's do it this way. Goro, that's to you.
I let Brittlewood's words sink in, and I reach into my bag or coin purse, and I let 3 gold coins plink on the ground, on the table, for the room, for the beds, and you get to walk out of here still breathing.
Go ahead and give me a persuasion check with advantage, because I'm going to say that this is essentially Brittlewood helping you.
Okay. That's 1. That's 1. That's a 4, but we have advantage. 14.
14. The group as a whole does not seem convinced. And the one known as Kocha, the one standing, you've picked up his name from conversation, the one kind of standing near Sylvie says, Oh, forget that. Let's get these guys. Let's show them who we are. And Nico, his brother's, yeah. But with kind of a raise of his hand, there's a burly, ruggedly handsome, if not overly handsome, leader of the group, Irigo, who seems to be the oldest brother. He kind of waves a hand, and he has a somewhat smug smile on his face. He says, well, I think there's a fair offer on the table. And he picks up the 3 gold pieces. Sure, we can find another place to finish this wine tonight and enjoy ourselves in various ways. Come on, fellas. No problem. No problem. He pockets the 3 gold pieces, a smug smile on his face. Well, I guess he takes a couple bottles of wine. Says, I guess we'll be moving along then. You all have yourselves a real pleasant evening. And the other group is pretty dumbfounded by this. They're pretty surprised at the calm that Irigo's able to muster. And they slowly, if not a little confusedly, begin to make their way out of the tavern. And as Irigo kind of passes by Mora and Aya, he kind of gives a little wink. Ladies, gives them a kiss, a little air kiss, and he just kind of saunters out the room.
I just look at him kind of completely aghast when he does that, like, the type of look on her face as he walks by.
Mora never breaks her smile in return to him.
I just let out a big, like, breath. I'm like, oh, like a sigh. Just like, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm glad that they agreed. I wasn't ready for another one.
I sit down at their recently vacated seats and kind of to the kids, eat.
They clamor to the table. Yes, they felt the tension in the room, but the sight of a hot meal, and they kind of clamor to the table and chow down. And you can see as light returns to their faces as soon as they begin eating, Sylvie kind of brings a couple of kid meals out for them as well. And for a group of children who've grown up eating, delicious food, but mostly vegetables, tavern food is something akin to junk food to them, and it's pretty exciting. So they dig in pretty hard. The doctor turns to the 3 at his table and says, well, I suppose Goro's reputation is well earned.
I suppose his reputation does precede him. I'm sure. And she kind of leans forward a little bit. She's like, though I'm sure your very diplomatic words certainly helped things. As I take a sip of wine.
Oh yes, well I do indeed hope so. You were rather close there, weren't they, Sylvie? And Sylvie will nod voraciously. She'll say, those 3 brothers are the nephews of the lord of this area. They kind of run the show in a bit, though mostly they just make trouble for us,
I could tell they were definitely making trouble here before we even arrived, judging by the way they were treating you. And I kind of look back at a sneer towards the door that they left through.
Yeah,
They're a handful.
Kind of without thinking about it, Ryu says, yeah, usually people like that, they're just a real pain. Never like dealing with them. Just kind of like, oh, And then he looks
Insight
around and
check.
starts eating. And then he just starts eating.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yeah, go ahead and insight check him.
Yeah. It's a 14.
14. Yeah, you're getting the sense that you certainly a little bit uncomfortable with conversations that have been having tonight, and is maybe not as forthcoming and boisterous as he normally is when there's like food and a warm bed around. Yeah, definitely quiet about it. Sylvie will continue bringing wine and food to the table, certainly to the fill of the children. And you start to hear kind of happy moans and groans from the children. Oh, I'm so full. I couldn't eat another bite. Oh, I'm gonna sleep for a week. And they are all kind of clearly rubbing their eyes with exhaustion, and they are clearly ready to turn in.
Yeah, I'll gesture the kids up to follow me and ask where we can lay the kids down for the room for the night.
Oh, let me show you. Sylvie helps gather up the kids and move them towards that back room. There are only a handful of beds, so most of you will have to sleep on your bedrolls tonight, but it is a comfortable room, and kind of towards the back of the inn. Nice simple room, couple windows, couple beds, dresser drawer if you need it, and Sylvie kind of walks you around and says, it's yours for the night. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to be help.
Thank you so much. And I'll kind of gesture the kids into like, here are the beds. Like she'll kind of like tuck them in a little bit, kind of like how she used to do with like the younger orphans in the church and in the missionary, just kind of tuck them in, and then, but not that tired yet, so I'll tuck them into their beds and then close the door so they can sleep. Rejoin everybody at the table. I give it less than 5 minutes and all those kids are going to be fast asleep. They're so tired.
yeah, I think we should all probably try to go to bed pretty soon. Long day. Long day.
I agree.
Yes, they are certainly darling. Interesting. A group of druids would be forest, I suppose.
Such is the nature of our business. And what of you? Are you staying here, or do you have somewhere else that you will be staying this evening?
Oh, I often prefer the comfort of my wagon out front. I'll be more than comfortable there.
Wondering whose that was. Very colorful. Very colorful.
Yes, she is my pride and joy. Well, if there is nothing else, I shall adjourn. And he kind of stands up, and he's all of maybe like 3.5, 4 feet tall. And he pops off his top hat in a bow, and in a very kind of practically regal way, kind of gives you all a bow. Good night.
Night, doctor. Night, doctor. I think I should probably go to bed too. Yep. Mm-hmm.
For you, before you go, a quick question.
Yeah. Shoot.
I can't help but think. Back when we were dealing with the kobolds, the playwrights, and their little show?
Oh yeah, that show was great, right? I mean, short of the big frog, but
Well, it was amusing for a while, but there was a point in time there where I was quite capable of understanding the content of what was being done and said by all involved.
Oh.
And you were very, very quick to call us Well, your staff and your manservants and various other descriptors that led me to think that you might not be exactly what you put on here.
Are you sure that you heard it right? You
Well,
know, because why
I
would I? How would I? How would I know about that stuff? You know,
and then
it
to hear the
was.
good doctor describe a well-blooded individual.
I mean, I got great veins. You know, maybe he probably just meant like good person. You know, I mean, I, I mean, maybe yeah, I used to live in Esterfeld, but I mean, I nothing special. You know, it's, why would a ranger have anything like that? I'm from the woods. You know.
Indeed. I was asking myself the very same question.
Yeah, that would be ridiculous, right? Imagine. Well, uh,
And with
I'm just
that, we
shifting
will
very uncomfortably.
and with this uncomfortable moment, we will fade to black as Mora continues pepper to you with questions.